6:02, good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Nashville Soccer Club is the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup champions after defeating Austin FC 2-1 last night in Austin, Texas. Nashville claims their first trophy in the club's 6-year MLS history. Hani Mukhtar opened the scoring in the 17th minute, and Sam Surridge scored his 6th goal in the Open Cup in the 60th minute off a penalty kick that proved to be the difference. Nashville SC is now CONCACAF bound in 2026 after winning the Cup. Also, Nashville SC is hosting a celebration at Geodis Park this Sunday at 5 o'clock. In Titans news, they were on the practice field yesterday, and the week's first injury report dropped. Blake Hance, J.C. Latham, Bryce Oliver, and Calvin Ridley all did not practice. Mike Brown, James Lynch, Tony Pollard, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Winston Jr., and Kevin Zeitler were limited. Running back Tajay Spears returned to practice yesterday, officially opening his 21-day return-to-play window, and he was a limited participant. For the Arizona Cardinals, they have placed running back Trey Benson on injured reserve. Head coach Jonathan Gannon announced yesterday. And tonight, another NFC West battle on Thursday Night Football. The 3-1 LA Rams host the 3-1 San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers will be without starting quarterback Brock Purdy and wide receivers Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, and Jordan Watkins. Backup quarterback Mac Jones will get the start versus the Rams. And kickoff is tonight at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen to Westwood One's coverage right here on 104.5 The Zone starting at 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very good morning to you on this Thursday in Music City, or on this show, as we call it, Friday Junior. This is Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee, and Scooters Coffee can fuel you into your Friday and weekend. Locally owned in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Coming up this morning, we have the initial injury report and words from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park ahead of Titans and Cardinals. Going to look at how the Titans can make an adjustment or two on offense heading into Sunday's matchup with the NFC West's team they've not seen in quite some time there in Arizona. Vandy's pathway to beating Alabama. Coach Mack talking Titans at 7:20. Thursday, 3 picks, and much, much more. He is the executive producer of Titans Radio, Rhett Bryan, filling in for Ramon Foster this morning. Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling on Thursday, October the 2nd. Good morning. How are we doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great.
It's Thursday. It's
Welcome.
Friday Junior. Let's go.
Yes, sir, it is.
Let's go.
Absolutely is. It was over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. Guys getting ready for the Cardinals. And, Rhett, a lot of the conversation was about how Cam Ward's 2 words, one of them I won't say on the radio. I guess I could, but I won't say on the radio.
We donkey.
Kind of had a life of its own. Jeffrey Simmons telling the media that he had an off-the-record conversation with Cam about it. Cody Barton spoke about it. Amani Hooker spoke about it. And Cam also said, I don't really care. I'm just here to win football games. Everyone is starting to move on now.
That is the thing that I think the media core is, I don't know if they've completely figured it out or not, but I knew the minute they asked him about, well, you realize that was a kind of a viral moment? He doesn't care. The head coach and everybody involved has been telling you for months, all he cares about is getting in the building and getting work done and winning with his teammates on his football team. That's really it. He cares about his family, but I mean, it's a short list of what he really cares about. And I think that's the other part as to why you have seen him in 4 games with 4 different sets of wolves coming at the door. He's been unflappable. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want in your quarterback, to be grounded and not wild-eyed. And because how many times have we seen rooks or just young quarterbacks going, oh gosh, how do I make this happen? Climb the pocket. What do you mean? I got to get out of the back door here, man.
Absolutely right.
But yeah, he doesn't care. I thought it was funny. I don't know if you told Ramon this on the air or not, but Jim Wyatt asking you about if we're keeping it $1.
Yes.
He goes, well, what exactly Does that mean it's like keeping it? I figured when he said keeping it a buck, I was like keeping it 100, keeping it real.
I felt like I had a very, very small part in that at TennesseeTitans.com on Sunday because Jim Wyatt looked
give
at me.
You a writing credit.
Well, yeah, honestly, he was like, did he say he kept it in his book? And I was like, no, it's keeping it a buck. He's like, okay. And what does that exactly mean? It's like, well, it's like keeping it real, basically. Keeping it 100. 100 meaning a buck. So keeping it a buck just means like you're just keeping it real. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. There are a couple other people on the plane that were like, I hadn't heard that one before.
He's not holding Buck Rising hostage. We're not keeping a buck.
Right, yet.
Well, okay, there's that.
Yeah, but interesting stuff yesterday. Great to hear from Tajay Spears and good to see him back out there on the Titans injury report and first report on Wednesday. Yesterday, Tajay was a limited participant. They opened up his window to practice, 21 days to activate him off of IR. He told us in the locker room, Rhett, adversity and I have become friends. And said with all the injuries that he's had, good to see a smile on his face and good to see him practicing again and getting closer to having an impact on this team on the field.
You know how big a fan I am of Tajay Spears. That's just pretty well documented. But for him and for this football team, it's necessary. It's needed. It's good. It's the time. It's time to, and whether he plays Sunday or not, we're going to find out. But I'm thrilled that he's back into the return to practice protocol part of it. And the thing you'll find, and that's just anybody that has any conversation with him and how he carries it, he is a very positive person.
Very much so.
But he's had that tested with just life in the NFL as it pertains to the injuries and those things. But you're not going to get him down. He's just a positive guy, and it's going to be huge just in terms of relief for Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard can handle it. He's a pro. But that whole thing about, here Coach Callahan and the players saying that in the last couple of weeks, nobody's coming to save us. Well, in the running back room, that's actually a little different.
Right.
And no slight to Julius Chestnut, but I'm just saying those are the tandem. That's the two dudes is him and Tajay. And just thinking about what dividends that could pay going through the rest of the season. Think about all the practice reps that Tony's done to get ready for a game. And then the majority of the carries through these first four games that have been tough. And every yard, and a life as a running back in the NFL,
right?
Contact every play.
There's no doubt. And, I know you talked about it last night on Titans Tonight with Keith Bullock as well, that just the pounding that Tony Pollard took over all of last season. It's why he was not available in Week 17 when Tajay got his first start at running back as well. But I think, for Tajay, in a personal perspective for him, with the contract situation and the guaranteed money that is coming off Tony Pollard's contract for 2026, and with what Mike Berganzi and Chad Brinker have gone on the record to say about players in year three, well, this is year three for Tajay. And they made the point in preseason to say, by year three, we want to have our answer about a player. Is this someone we want to build around and keep and give a second contract? Or is this someone we need to move on from? And Tajay's play when he's been on the field has dictated another contract and sticking around. His lack of availability has made that a little bit of a cloudier picture. So I think Tajay's motivated. I think anybody that was in that draft class and in that group of players who is in year three understands the role that they've got to play. And the pressure in a positive way, because sometimes pressure is, something that's healthy a little bit in order to perform, in order to prove to a regime that did not draft you that you should be kept around.
Well, let's take it a step further. How about guys in year four like Chig Okonkwo and Roger McCrary?
Or in literal contract years, yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't think there was any doubt that Tajay was ready for 2025. You just think about how many days out there at training camp. He's the first dude out there.
It's the way he's
got his own regimen. He comes out there usually barefoot to begin with and just starts stretching, whatever. And then next thing you know, he comes back out. He's got cleats, whatever. But I mean, he'd been putting in the work and had a great camp. And then the ankle happened in Tampa, and here we are 6 weeks later, or whatever it is.
Right.
But the want to has never been an issue with him.
100%.
Never. And you're right. When you think about, and that's the whole reason why I say that about Tony Pollard and trying to preserve him down the stretch of this season. Well, the time we got to the week 17 last year, he was banged up. And he was actually, I think it was a flu bug going around or whatever. He was under the weather. So he said, hey, Tony, we know you want to play, but let's shut it down for a week. Let's have Tajay come in. Tajay he technically had his first 100-yard rushing game. And then I think it was Josh Hines-Allen, hit him in the backfield, and he was concussed. And that left him with 95 yards, I think, on 20 carries. And that ended his year because that was his second concussion.
Right.
But he was having a great day in Jacksonville when all that happened. Because that happened, I want to say, it was early fourth quarter.
He was coming on strong, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just the end of the season in general, for sure.
So, Tajay Spears coming back, that is a good thing for the Tennessee Titans.
It's a big deal. According to Next Gen Stats, too, Tony Pollard has 234 yards after contact this year of his 261 total rushing yards.
Where does that rank? Because it's got to be way up there.
8th in the NFL, 234 yards after contact. Yep.
Wow.
Pretty dang good.
Wow.
But also a story of how early he is getting hit and how much he needs a reinforcement.
You think?
No doubt about it.
Oh, my goodness.
615-737-1045. We will talk Vanderbilt coming up in just a moment. Rhett Bryan was spotting for Taylor Zarzer, Matt Stinchcomb, and Alyssa Lang's SEC Network broadcast of Vanderbilt and Utah State over the weekend. So he's got a perspective on Vanderbilt heading into their matchup with Alabama. We will talk about, and you'll hear from Chris Lee as well, talking about Vanderbilt's matchup with Alabama and breaking it down for you coming up next. Ramona Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. 615-737-1045. How you jump in. So not only is Rhett Bryan executive producer extraordinaire of Titans Radio, but over the weekend, he was a spotter for SEC Network's broadcast of Vanderbilt, Utah State. And you have got a unique perspective watching up close a Vanderbilt team that's in the biggest game of college football this weekend. And I keep saying that just to remind myself that that really is true, that Vanderbilt is a part of the biggest game in college football this weekend. What was your first impression watching Vanderbilt up close on Saturday, and what was kind of the big takeaway about how good they looked?
Well, here's the thing, just going back for just a second. Diego Pavia, like him or not, has brought a lot of attention to that program and a spark that they probably have needed for quite a while. And, you start noticing him last year that, they beat Bama right here on West End last year. Big deal. But I had started watching them more closely this year because I'd seen the things, this is the deal where Vanderbilt and the effect of the transfer portal have had a positive effect on, because you think about it, overall, among the Power Four and some of the other top college programs that aren't Division II or III, it's made college football better. It's evened things out. This is a prime example of that, because I felt like, and I'm no slight to the other guys who were on that roster for Clark Lee last year, but they got some grown men playing football in this thing who are already graduates, who are getting postgraduate degrees, and it shows. It's a veteran. In fact, I think it's the oldest team in college football.
So I have the numbers in front of me, at least for the SEC, and there's some crazy takeaways in this for both the local teams, for Tennessee and for Vanderbilt. 22% of Vanderbilt's roster are graduates. 26 graduate players on that roster. For perspective, 2.7% of Tennessee's roster is graduates. The rest of the breakdown of this, 50 more upperclassmen just in addition to those 26 graduates. So Vanderbilt's roster, the age breakdown, 22% graduates, 17.8% seniors, which by itself would be a lot anyway, near the top of the SEC, 24.6% juniors, 19.5% sophomores, and 16.1% freshmen. For perspective, 49.5% of Tennessee's roster is freshmen. 49.5%, which is also a tip of the cap to Josh Heupel and the coaching job that he's done so far. Tennessee, 2.7% of their roster, graduates. That is 20% less than what Vanderbilt has. 9% of Tennessee's roster, seniors, 23% juniors, 15% sophomores. Tip of the cap to Next Round Live, who had that breakdown. So, yes, the numbers absolutely bear out what you're saying, that Vanderbilt is as old as anybody in college football.
So, with that being said, the thing that I took away just seeing them in person instead of just watching them on a television a telecast, this is more than just Diego Pavia by the numbers and the things. And I mean, on offense, if they get to midfield or near it, they can score on nearly any possession. And I know they were playing Utah State. Now, let's say this, though. Utah State will compete for that Mountain West Conference for sure. I mean, they had 35 points in that game. But they'd get to midfield, and it was Diego with the wheels, extending a play or making another first down. But there were, Junior Sherrill had 3 touchdowns in the first half. Let's just start there.
Dominant. Yeah.
Eli Stowers, we know he's going to play on Sundays. I mean, he has all the looks and the skills. But the covey of running backs in this, I mean, McKylan Young, A.J. Newberry, Cedric Alexander, those are the 3 I saw the most, Cedric Alexander and McKylan Young. But, I mean, they have the tools and the weapons and a veteran offensive line. And, by the way, they got a legit kicker in Brock Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just look through this, and we haven't even talked about the defense, but they've got some fellas there that can make things happen. I came away thoroughly impressed with what that is. First of all, Clark Lee has done a fantastic job with that program. And he's got them sitting. I mean, they're 5-0 for the second time in 80 years.
Yep.
I mean, this program really hasn't seen this kind of stuff since James Franklin in 2012 and 2013.
Right. 100%. First 5-0 start since 2008, and the Commodores have not started a season 6-0 since 1928. 97 years since
now,
the last time they started 6-0.
Let me say this. For everybody that dogpiles on Vanderbilt, and going back to that window of time, 100 years ago, they were a powerhouse in college football.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I'll tell you this. Every time I go to Lambeau Field when we play the Packers, there's a picture on the wall going towards the locker room of Buford Baby Ray, who played for Curly Lambeau. Buford Baby Ray was a lineman.
Wow.
He played for the Vanderbilt Commodores. And they had a program. But yeah, just looking through this, I mean, they've got a tight end, Vandy does, that was actually listed on my spotter board in defense because in special teams, Emmanuel Adebayo, he has 8 career blocked field goals. Just things like that.
Wow.
But these edge pass rushers they've got and some of the secondary, there's something. I don't know what happens in Tuscaloosa on Saturday because this next 4 games for them that's the gamut, man.
Right.
That's murderer's row. But seeing how LSU played the other day, they can beat LSU.
I agree.
I feel confident in saying that. And listen, Alabama got well against a very good Georgia team. And so I don't know what that looks like right this second, but I'll tell you this. The one thing that Vanderbilt does not lack, and it starts with number 2, Diego Pavia, is confidence. Like they're in a place where it's like, yep, we'll go into the Wolves' den and, we'll battle with you for 4 quarters. I'm very interested to see how this thing plays out. And by the way, of course, I've always known it as Dudley Field, but First Bank Stadium, they just finished all that stuff in would be the south end zone. It's amazing how that place looks now.
Looks like a different stadium.
Now, it very much has the same look as before in the stadium seating, the old bleachers and things.
Right.
But Lambeau Field does too. They kept that as a part of, when they spent $300 and something million in upgrades at Lambeau. But this is a legit place, man. I mean, these club sections and all these things.
It's come a long way.
It was wild to see how all that has developed.
Turns out the hanging scoreboard was worth it in the south end zone.
And that was a funny thing that Alyssa Lang and Matt Stinchcomb and, of course, Taylor Zarzer said about, because they've done a bunch of Vandy games over the last 2 or 3 years. And he said, we were in that one game where there was some weather and and those cranes just shaking back and forth. And Alyssa was like, am I going to be okay down here?
It's not a fun feeling.
But they have come a long way from that. But
100%. For
a lot of, my ex-brother-in-law is a huge Vandy fan. Matthew is, and I'm so happy because he's taken my nieces to these, and they're all, adults now, but they're really enjoying this ride. And I know that there's a lot of Commodore fans in that fan base who have been through the ups and downs and have seen an orange checkerboard at their home stadium, and seeing 85% of the fans show up in Bama gear or whatever because people sold their tickets. They've seen all that stuff,
right?
And I am happy for them that they're getting their flowers right now. But the product on field is something else.
So Gentry Estes had a good column about this at the Tennessee end about how if you look at this game statistically with black and white and not red or black and gold, and just look at the two teams statistically without knowing which helmet represents both stats, you would guess that a lot of the matchups in this were flipped. He wrote at the Tennessee, and you'll find that one of these teams is 14th nationally in total offense, 18th in rushing defense, 21st in total defense, 12th in rushing defense, and 4th in converting third downs offensively. The other team throws and catches it splendidly, and it leads the nations in turnover margin. Bama, one of the only teams in America that has not turned the ball over all season, which is a really impressive part of what they've been able to do this season. But it's
might
also
have just given a Vandy a win right there.
Right, I
might
know.
have manifested that.
But it also, Gentry Estes says it's also 107th in rushing offense, 90th in rushing defense, and 99th in third down defense. Vanderbilt is the first team. Bama's the second team.
Isn't that wild?
Unbelievable. The amount of just looking at this without any kind of red or gold associated with it, how you would think that this matchup is flipped in a lot of ways.
So here's the other part, and this is my concern for Vandy fans and them going down to Tuscaloosa. Alabama fans have been waiting for a signature-style win under Kalen DeBoer, and I think they got it last week because it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they too high on that and come out a little flat or falter a little bit, or does that spark what they need? But I'm telling you, Vandy as a sparring partner,
right?
I ain't counting them out.
It's a really interesting matchup because I wonder how much of this comes down to Vanderbilt still being itself, or do you have to get outside of what you have already done this season and be a bit more explosive in the pass game? Because I think Vanderbilt has not seen a passing offense close to what Alabama is going to throw at them. And Vandy this season, despite the opponents it's played, which have not been good passing teams, is 55th in passing offense allowed, passing defense this season, giving up 199 yards per game, which is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact that you had Luke Doty for a half in South Carolina and not a full game of Lenoris Sellers, and Vanderbilt was outgained in that game. Didn't matter. Obviously, nobody cares about if you're outgained when you almost mercy rule the team based on what a high school game would be. But so I'm not trying to belittle that win at all, but that is the thing about Vanderbilt we've not yet seen them prove. Can you stop a really good passing offense? And now that Ty Simpson has a little bit more time to throw, and Caden Proctor is starting to look like the NFL prospect we thought he would be at the beginning of the season, and not the guy that's getting olayed by Florida State edge rushers we've never heard of in week one, I do think that is the element of this game that is a really, really big challenge. When you look at the pathway for Vanderbilt pulling off this upset, Vandy cannot give up explosive play after explosive play after explosive play to the Alabama offense, because I think Bama is capable of that. The other thing is they've got to be better against the opening script. Vanderbilt has struggled defensively against teams on their opening script. Alabama has been very strong opening games on their opening script. Even in their loss in Tallahassee against Florida State, they moved the ball right down the field, and it looked easy. You thought they were going to win the game by 30. How quickly they put it in the end zone. That's something that Vanderbilt, even against Georgia State, even against Utah State, has struggled against a bit. I know it was a penalty that extended the drive against Utah State, but still, you got to get off to a fast start in this game is, I think, the first part of the pathway, because if you turn that crowd sour and toxic a little bit against their team, then you have something. I know that crowd will be obviously in favor of Alabama, especially with the win that they just had against Georgia, but you make them squirm a little bit and you inject a little bit of nervous energy into a fan base that's already pretty nervous about the head coach and about the state of the program. That's when things get really interesting for Vanderbilt.
Well, to your point, I think you're right. First of all, if Vandy can weather the first drive or two and somehow make them commit that first turnover and then make something out of it, you can get the crowd out of that a little bit. But because you're right, because that's what we just talked about. They were looking for a signature win under Kalen DeBoer. because he is not your typical DNA profile of what a Bama coach would be. Like it's one of those things where one of these things is not like the other. And people are in that fan base are going, who is this dude?
Mm-hmm.
But I totally agree with that. And that's the other takeaway from the Bama-Georgia game the other night. Ty Simpson, that dude came of age.
Big time.
In that thing.
Big time.
I mean, people were looking for that from their quarterback, all the red elephant folks.
Right.
And, man, he delivered. He absolutely delivered. But this is, in a broader thing on this to close up this segment, college football actually is better because of the transfer portal. Now, for those programs who are not in the Power Four, they're like, dang it. Don't say that.
Right.
But it's true.
It is. It needs more regulations around when and how players can move in order to make things, because I think it could be even better.
Didn't they shut down one of the extra portals?
Yeah, it's going to be a 15-day window, I think, from the first Monday in January.
Okay.
So it still has to be kind of during the end of the playoff, just for the fact of semesters beginning and ending and academics and things like that. But, yeah, I totally agree. And I think, too, teams are learning more how to scout the portal. I think teams have learned more lessons from the Florida States of the world last year, who were just so bad in terms of some of the bad investments they made in the transfer portal. And the best example of it is Texas Tech, who has spent as much money, if not more, than anyone in the transfer portal all of last offseason. I think a lot of people around the sport were very curious to see how much that worked, because when you build a team on a bunch of Nico Imaliavas on transactional relationships of a paycheck, can you really build a competitive roster with the competitive makeup and just personality of giving your all for the team and the logo on the side of the helmet, not just the paycheck for the name on the back of the jersey? And Texas Tech found a type, I think, of personality and of player to be able to say, no, we can do both. And I think a lot of people in the sport were watching that very closely to see how well that worked. And you may see more teams try to enter that market this offseason.
Well, and to your point, first of all, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about late 90s, early 2000s Washington with Daniel Snyder as their owner. He tried to, I'll never forget the Titans going to FedEx Field on Monday Night Football in 2000. And he's got Deion Sanders. He's got Bruce Smith. He's got names but really from other markets where they made their hay, right? Where they made their career. And Titans got out of that one with a win. I mean, Samari Rolle had the pick that went pick 6, and he ran 8,000 yards to get there at the end of the first half. And Frank Wycheck, rest in peace, sir, who was cast off by Washington, who drafted him because they tried to make him a running back, spikes the touchdown in the end zone from Steve McNair, and it was a fantastic night. But he tried to make it a transactional thing. That's why I think you're going to continue to see former NFL executives get into these general manager style roles in major college football programs, because they know how to find DNA of what we're looking for.
No doubt.
It's like the Titans looking for what a Titan is. What's the definition of a Titan? You're going to see more of that, especially in the major college football programs. And as far as the money stuff, and I know we got to go to break, but always watch the teams in the Texas area and Oklahoma, because they have the energy and oil money.
No doubt.
And you want to talk about colleges. Mack always said, take a look at their endowment.
Yeah,
that'll tell you where they're at.
Right.
And they've got that money. You're going to see who succeeds and who fails putting major money into getting you a roster. But the identity, I think you're going to see more and more of that.
Coming up, a big night last night for Nashville Soccer Club. How NSC made history in Austin, Texas last night. Coming up next. Ramona Will, fueled by Scooter's Coffee on a Thursday morning. This was likely playing in the locker room yesterday in Austin, Texas. Congratulations to Nashville Soccer Club. 2-1 yesterday over Austin FC, winners of the U.S. Open Cup, NSC's first major championship. The boys in gold with, that's right, goals from Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge, Sam's 28th goal of the season. Getting the job done at Austin, hoisting a very big trophy, I might add, a really cool-looking trophy, in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final. Really, really fun night last night.
Lamar Hunt?
Yes.
Interesting.
The Hunt family is very instrumental and very important in the history of soccer in the United States.
How about that?
This is the oldest soccer tournament in the U.S. This was the 110th U.S. Open Cup, and really, really cool last night. I think the thing that, if I could explain this in one way to make the most sense for people that are new to soccer and new to the U.S. Open Cup, is this. You got to win 5 games if you're Nashville to hoist this trophy, and they did. And this is a squad victory. In the early stages of the competition, as you are playing MLS games on Saturdays or Sundays, you are mixing in U.S. Open Cup games on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. So a lot of the times early in the competition, you have got players that are not going to start as many MLS matches, and you get some of your rookies. You get some of your academy players, and Brian Schwacke, the goalie, is the backup goalie in MLS play. He played all 5, including the final last night of the Open Cup games. So it is a squad victory if you are able to hoist the trophy like this. And as you get into the semifinal and the final, you start to put more of your starters and MLS play in there, and Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge and guys like that. The cool thing about this is, though, that everyone is kind of a part of this one. And not to say in MLS play they wouldn't either, but this is the tournament within the season. It's the oldest competition in the United States, and it now is the first trophy in Nashville SC history.
Well, I knew they were having a good year, but man, that's big time. I saw the celebration reels last night when I was coming into work this morning. Well, not while I was driving, but when I got here to work this morning. That's great, though.
The offense with B.J. Callahan is really surging right now.
It is. They set the goal before the season. They set it in preseason. We want to score 50 goals in MLS play. They've already done that with, heck, they did that with 5 games to go a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And they've got 2 more left in the regular season. They've clinched a playoff spot, but this is a big deal. So what comes with this, obviously the prize money element of it, the fact that you get this gigantic trophy, which looks like it weighs as much as I do. And you also get a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they will now get a spot in next year's tournament of the best teams in all of North America that they will get to play in also as the season happens at the beginning of next year, which is a cool part of it. But so happy for B.J. Callahan, the head coach, in his first full season. So happy for guys, and the 2 guys in particular who were able to hoist the trophy and lift it. And kind of the 2 captains, Walker Zimmerman, who is the club captain, U.S. men's national team center back who represented the U.S. at the last World Cup, and Hani Mukhtar, who has been the MVP in 2022. He's been the leader of this team from the front as an attacker since day one. In year 6 of this club, it's been Walker in the back line. It's been Hani up top. And those 2 guys getting to one hand each on the trophy, lift that thing up last night. Really, really happy for them, and really, really happy for the entire club. It was awesome.
So you said Sam Surridge has 28 goals.
Yes. That is the Nashville SC club record for one season, and there are still a lot of games left in the season, we hope, and you're guaranteed 4 more, or guaranteed 3 more, I should say, because there's a chance Nashville is in the 8 versus 9 seed kind of first game of the Eastern Conference. We'll hope that they get beyond that 8-9 matchup and can skip straight to the best 2 out of 3, but yes, Sam Surridge, 6 goals, I believe it was, in this competition. Mm-hmm. Yep, 6 goals in 3 U.S. Open Cup matches. Leads the team in career U.S. Open Cup goals with 6. 28 goals across all competitions. And Hani Mukhtar got his 17th goal of the season as well last night. Between those 2 players, 45 goals in 2025 is a terrific return for just two guys in one team.
Well, yeah, because I'm sitting here going, I'm not very smart at math, but that seems like a whole lot in the game of soccer.
100%.
I also didn't realize that B.J. Callahan, that was his second time winning the U.S. Open Cup.
Yes.
Once with Philly.
Yes. So, yeah, he was with Philadelphia, and Mike Jacobs, general manager, also was with Kansas City, an organization that is, you talk about Lamar Hunt, obviously, and the Hunt family in Kansas City, a very important competition for SKC. But, yes, that is his first trophy as Nashville SC's manager, second as a head coach as well when he was with the U.S. men's national team a couple of years ago. Third time that GM Mike Jacobs had been a part of a U.S. Open Cup winner. So NSC will have the trophy at Geodis 5 p.m. on Sunday. So if you want to take NFL Plus on your phone or take an earphone in to listen to Titans radio and you want to see the trophy on Sunday at Geodis, you can do that. But I know a lot of people over there have really prioritized getting that first piece of silverware, as we call it in soccer, and that first trophy, and doing that this year and kind of leading the way for the city, for the state, for professional sports success. And MLS, the way the roster regulations and rules work, you can really inject a lot of young talent in one off season, and you can turn over rosters really quickly in Major League Soccer. Doesn't mean it's easy, but if you identify the right newcomers and young players, you can do it pretty quickly. And man, they made a lot of moves this offseason, and a lot of players who were in their first seasons with the club this year that were a pivotal part of winning that trophy last night.
A mantelpiece for the castle.
That's right.
And it really helps that sting a couple of years ago losing in the League Cup final.
Yes. Man, I was thinking about that a lot last night.
Yeah.
Of you go into the 11th round of penalty kicks against Lionel Messi in Miami. And at that point, it's just a flip of the coin to see who can win it. And I remember the feeling I had leaving the stadium that night, and it felt good. Felt really good seeing him lift the trophy last night after that. So congrats to NSC. Good
Yes,
stuff.
indeed.
Last night. 615-737-1045 is our number. Thursday night football tonight. I'll give a little preview for you. The walking wounded San Francisco 49ers
On
against
a
the Los
short
Angeles
week.
Rams. We will talk about that coming up next.
7:01. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Nashville Soccer Club is the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup champions after defeating Austin FC 2-1 last night in Austin, Texas. Nashville, they claimed their first trophy in the club's 6-year MLS history. Hani Mukhtar opened the scoring in the 17th minute. And then Sam Surridge scored his 6th goal in the Open Cup in the 60th minute off of a penalty kick that proved to be the difference. Nashville SC now is CONCACAF bound in 2026 after winning the Cup. Also, Nashville SC this Sunday is hosting a celebration at Geodis Park for the trophy at 5 o'clock. In Titans news, they were on the practice field yesterday and dropped the first injury report of the week. Blake Hance, J.C. Latham, Bryce Oliver, Calvin Ridley all did not practice. Mike Brown, James Lynch, Tony Pollard, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Winston Jr., and Kevin Zeitler were limited. Running back Tajay Spears returned to practice yesterday, which officially opened his 21-day return to play window, and he was a limited participant. For the Arizona Cardinals, they have placed running back Trey Benson on injured reserve. Head coach Jonathan Gannon announced yesterday. And tonight, another NFC West battle on Thursday Night Football as the 3-1 LA Rams host the 3-1 San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers will be without quarterback Brock Purdy and wide receivers Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Jordan Watkins. Backup quarterback Mac Jones will get the start tonight versus the Rams. Kickoff is at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen to Westwood One's coverage starting at 7 o'clock right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. and hour number 2 in Music City on your Thursday. Ramona Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. You can quickly scoot on down, whether you're looking for a flavored blend of coffee, you just like it black. We've got the signature blend going this morning, or you just need a cinnamon roll to pick you up a little bit with a little bit of sugar. We got you covered. Scooters Coffee always delivers. Coach Mack as well always delivers. He'll join us in 15 minutes previewing Titans and Cardinals in the house that he built on Sunday. AFC South versus NFC West. Rhett Bryan is here filling in for Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. And tonight, Rhett, a shell of the San Francisco 49ers is going to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Brock Purdy, Murfreesboro's own Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall all ruled out for this game tonight. I don't know who Kyle Shanahan made mad or John Lynch made mad. I don't know if they practiced on a burial ground or something, but they are always injured. And for whatever reason, they once again this season, Rhett, are very injured already by week 5.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about it's week 5. And Mac Jones is going to make his 3rd start of the season.
It's incredible. From
the backup position. And Mac Jones has done a nice job. So this season already, 66.2% completion percentage, 53 of 80 for 563 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. 5 completions that are X plays, 20 yards or longer, passer rating 98.1. That got me to thinking, too. I was like, let me look at Mac Jones's career numbers, because you forget about how many games he played in New England and then how many games he played in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence banged up. He's appeared in 54 games already. His career passer completion percentage is 65.9%, 11,153 yards, 58 touchdowns, 45 interceptions. That was just not paying attention. That those numbers kind of caught me by surprise. I'm like, he's already been around long enough that those are his numbers, and he's done a nice job. But yeah, Brock Purdy, he has a toe injury? Is that right?
I believe that's right. Yep.
Wonder if he's got turf toe.
Which,
if that's what that is a nagging,
it is
bad
a toe injury
thing.
That is the most underrated, like in terms of how we feel like as normal humans, as mortals. that doesn't sound that bad, but anyone you talk to who's had it will tell you it is way worse than any one of us thinks it is.
Listen, people who just are in passing by go turf toe, just rub dirt on it.
Right.
Ask Eddie George about turf toe.
Right.
Because I had him explain it to me all those years ago when he got it. He's like, Red, it's one of the most painful things I've ever endured in my life. And I said, well, clearly it would affect you because you're a running back, but everybody uses their feet in football. So,
100%.
Whatever it is you're doing, it can be debilitating.
In week 1, that's when he did suffer a turf toe. They called it a variant of a turf toe, which basically means it depends on which grade of a sprain it is. So depending on how many fibers of that ligament he tore. But it takes me back to old Titans running back Chris Brown. He had a turf toe and never felt like he could just get over it. Always, it was nagging and nagging and nagging.
Chief Medical Officer Justin Hawkins resigning.
Chief Medical Officer.
Brock Purdy with a toe. Jawan Jennings with ribs and ankle on his injury designation, which, as hard as he plays, none of that will be surprising to anyone who's watched him since he was at Blackman High School. Ricky Pearsall with a right knee injury. Jordan Watkins with a calf injury. And then that includes also the IR list, George Kittle with a hamstring problem and Brandon Ayuk coming off of his knee injury last season. So they go up against a Rams team, Rhett, that I think is as underrated as anyone in the NFL. And when you look at them, very similarly, West Coast offense, Shanahan tree, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, of course, who were on the same coaching staff at Washington. And there's that famous picture of all the head coaches, including Mike McDaniel, who were on that staff together. I think Bobby Slowick was on that staff as well, former Texans offensive coordinator. I think the Rams win healthy because they're really similar to 49ers. They end up getting a lot of their guys hurt as well, just the style of tough, run-first football that they play. When they are healthy, I think it's them, Philly, and Green Bay, and then everyone else in the NFC. And I think it's because largely Puka Nacua is healthy right now. Puka Nacua is on another stratosphere in terms of the quality he is playing at right now. Targeted on a league-high 42.5% of his routes this season. That is over 6% higher than the next closest player. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the second highest at that margin of 36% of being targeted on the amount of routes that he's run this year. Puka Nacua, I think, is the early frontrunner for Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL the way he's playing right now.
And when you put those numbers out there like that, we're reminded, and we're going to have Coach Mack on next segment, about the weapon that the Titans defense has to contend with in Trey McBride. When you think about how much of the offense goes through his hands, it's crazy. I mean, I think he had 14 targets last week, 14 targets. And I wouldn't disagree with your assessment of where they are as a team either, because as long as Matthew Stafford is upright and his back is holding together, Kyron Williams is a fantastic young back. They've got weapons. And we've seen what kind of defense they have. But, yeah, the Rams, you'd clearly look at them in favor of this just because of how much San Francisco is hurting right now, literally. Mm-hmm. But they still got to play the ball game. We'll see what the heck happens. But that's at SoFi. And, but yeah, those teams, just seeing those teams' offenses go against each other is always intriguing to me.
It is. No doubt. I feel like every primetime game now in the NFL is either at SoFi, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, Arrowhead, or an NFC East team. I feel like those four bullet points are literally like 90% of primetime games at this point. But, I mean, as good as SoFi is, I don't blame anyone for giving them so many primetime games.
Sure.
What was that place like broadcasting there for the first time a couple years ago?
SoFi?
Yeah.
Extremely loud.
Really?
Even though it's open air on, but yeah, well, the sound system in there is ridiculous.
Wow.
And then they got a public address announcer who just bellows, man. I mean,
nice.
But it's like going to a rock concert. The vantage point is good. I mean, we're high up like you are in most stadiums, and it's angled from a corner. It's like, calling a baseball game a bit, but you are at least the elevation where you can see the entire field and see things play out. Oh, the stadium is incredible. I mean, to see how, and of course, Stan Kroenke footed the bill on that is, $4 billion?
Something like that.
It's massive. I'm looking forward to Allegiant Stadium this time next week. That's the last one to check on the list for all 32 for me, and obviously that's a moving target.
Sure.
Because new places open, but that's the only place I hadn't been.
Did you see the side-by-side picture of the Bears rendering for their new stadiums up in Arlington Heights? Somebody put it side-by-side with Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. Identical. They legitimately, if you took out the torch in the middle of the end zone that they have at Allegiant Stadium and just made the pictures black and white, you would not be able to tell which stadium is which. That is one thing I'm happy about with new Nissan Stadium, because I think the thought that has gone into that, and you talk to people around the organization, Rhett, they were very intentional about, we don't want this just to be cookie cutter indoor NFL stadium you're going to see around the league. They wanted new Nissan Stadium to be very unique to Nashville, and they want it to feel like a Nashville venue, not just an NFL venue that is a random template that a lot of these companies that do a lot of these similar stadiums, because the group that did Allegiant Stadium is helping do new Nissan Stadium. I don't get that vibe with new Nissan Stadium at all.
No. And it's not surprising that this, because when there are new stadiums built, you honestly would consult with a architecture firm who has done this, because you're like, okay, let's call a professional, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not surprising that there are a lot of similarities to this. Now, it's not as bad as it was in the 70s, because literally cookie cutter. I mean, you can look at a lot of things and go, well, that's the same as this and that. Like the old Cincinnati Stadium, Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, a lot of those were cookie cutter deals. Mm-hmm. These are little less like each other with obviously technology and amenities. But I was at new Nissan Stadium yesterday. I went to Pro Shop to pick up a couple things, and seeing what is the West Club, I think it's the Touchdown Titans Club, golly, it's taken shape. You can really see the vision beyond the renderings that we've seen. Feel like we've watched for a while.
Right.
It is. I mean, they're hanging glass. They're putting glass in the sides of these things.
For sure.
It
looks awesome.
Wild.
It looks awesome. 615-737-1045. Coach Mack previews Titans and Cardinals with us next. Ramona Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, continues at hour 2 this morning. Rhett Bryan in for Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. Joined as we are every Thursday at 7:20 by Titans Radio's head coach. Presented by our friends at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack stopping by to preview Titans and Cardinals. What's up, Mack? Good morning.
Hey, Will. Hey, Rick. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm excited, Rhett, to I've never been to Phoenix before, so excited to travel with you guys and travel with Titans Radio to broadcast Titans and Cardinals on Sunday. What do you remember about the house that Coach Mack built, as we call it, as Rhett calls it, being built, that we'll be in for the first time in quite some time on Sunday?
Well, I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, it took up a lot of my time as a head coach there. I mean, it was a big deal, and it did a lot in helping flip, because they'd been in the Cardinals had been in Sun Devil Stadium the whole time they were there, and had been promised a lot of things that didn't come to fruition. When they had moved there from St. Louis, and it had just about reached a tipping point, and that was among many things, when I was named the head coach, that I was asked to do was help with that thing. And so it was big. I'd already failed 2 referendums to get it. I can remember standing in the polling place with Hall of Famers Larry Wilson and Joe Green, and having people cuss at us as they walked by when we were, trying to campaign for it. But got it done, and it made a huge difference in that organization, because it flipped a lot of things, and now it's one of the harder places to play in the league, because it was a pretty unique design when it was all put together, and plus, I mean, it was designed to, when that thing's closed up, to be really loud, and it is loud.
You need to tell Will sometime your story about going and knocking door to door with your quarterback Jake Plummer and all your players, and trying to get that referendum passed. I know that'll be a chapter in the Mack book when that comes out one of these days.
Well, that was, I mean, we did it on a Saturday morning of a game, because
Wow.
I mean, the vote was that close. I mean, it was myself, Jake Plummer, and Rob Moore, and we were knocking on doors at 7:30 in the morning, and mothers coming to the door in their hair curlers, and the kids in there screaming, eating breakfast, and saying, "Look, we need your vote."
That's incredible. That's incredible. I can imagine that happening now, too. Like, that's just such a crazy process. Well, Mack, the team that plays in that field is 2-2, and the only 2 losses have been on walk-off field goals at this point. What stands out about Arizona, Mack, as you look at the film and look at how they match up with the Titans? What does this team do well?
Well, the first thing they do is, and nobody really talks about it. They play really good defense. That was Jonathan Gannon's calling card. I mean, when he was here, he was on staff here, when I was here as a quality control coach, but he's a defensive coach, and that's been his calling card. And he's got a couple of vets that are really playing well, one on the interior and one on the outside. It's Calais Campbell. I mean, you're going to have to pull a tooth to find out how old he really is. and then Josh Sweat. I mean, those guys can bring it. And then they've got Buda Baker's always been one of my favorite safeties in the league, because of how multi-talented he is, not only in the back end, but he is a real threat. As far as you talk about drop down safety, that can drop down and play a robber, can drop down and play a linebacker, can be a really good blitzer. I mean, so they play really decent defense. And now, and what they've done offensively, they do some unusual things to put you in a little bit of a strut defensively. And one of them, look, Rhett and I have been working together for 9 years, and so we have a pretty intense day in our schedule when we start working in on Tuesday, and we each do our own individual work on Mondays with film, and then Rhett really starts digging on Rhett nuggets and finding a lot of things about the opponent, in a quick way. And he found, one of the first things he brought out when we got together for our marathon on Tuesday, as far as prep, was the amount of 13 personnel that they use, which is quite a bit. It's 3 tights, 1 wide, 1 back, because they feature Trey McBride, and and 13 personnel, if you really want to dig into the weeds of what it is, getting ready for it as a defensive coach is, with those three tights, they can spread out. They can make it look like 11. They can make it look like 12. Can make it look like 21. It really challenges you with your matchups. But Trey McBride, and this is a red nugget for 2024, 30% of their offense is run through Trey McBride, the tight end, which makes sense as to why they're doing that. So they present some pretty unusual challenges. And, of course, the quarterback's been there for 7 years now, and he's had an up-and-down career, a lot of it because of injury. But when he's whole and healthy back there, I mean, the dude's a problem to try to get on the ground. Or, this puts a real premium on yourself in coverage as far as playing plaster coverage and being able to expect the unexpected, because when he starts moving around, it's go time.
Coach Tay McGinnis of Titans Radio, our guest, previewing Titans and Cardinals. Mack, looking at this Titans linebacker group, and I was a bit excited to ask you about Cedric Gray because of the performance that he had on Sunday, the 17 tackles. I got to speak with him yesterday on a piece that fans will be able to hear on our pregame coverage on Farm Bureau Health Plan's Titans Countdown on Sunday from Arizona, and he's just a smart player, Mack, and they don't hand out degrees at UNC if you're not very smart also, but walk me through what impressed you most about his performance against the Texans, and what do you think Frank Bush is liking the most about what Cedric Gray's doing on film right now?
Well, first of all, Will, this is for our listeners. People say he's a second-year linebacker. He's really not. This is really his first year, because he lost his whole rookie year nearly, just because he lost all that developmental time early on. Frank Bush has been a real plus for his career, because Frank Bush is stuck with him. I've worked with Bush for a lot of years when I was coaching, and he knows how to train young linebackers. And the thing about Cedric Gray is when you vet him coming out, as we vetted him, Rhett and I do extensive work on the draft, and you vet him coming out. He's a great he was a great K&D guy, which is key and diagnose at North Carolina, because he can trigger, he can see it. He understands. He gets it. He understands just really what it takes playing back there behind the ball. That's what he's done most of his career, and I really like the development he's made. He's worked at it. He has really worked at it when he came into the league, because having coached a lot of young linebackers in my career, when they come into the league, there's so much they have to learn vision-wise, and so much they have to learn about how to get ahead of blocks, how to study tape. And also just what it takes to be sitting in that triangle and where you've got to put your eyes, because the field dimensions are so much different than they are, and the game's different than it is in collegiate football. And he's adapted to all of that. Plus, he's a physical dude, and his key and diagnose and his trigger are what really make him a really good player. And of course, you're down there on the field, and you saw it up close and personal. The fact that he's got the ability to show up at the ball, which he did at North Carolina, and now we're starting to see it here.
Mack, the Titans put Tajay Spears in the return to practice protocol, and so he is starting to practice, opening up that 21-day window. Whether it's Sunday or beyond, I think this is something that the Titans need as a whole, certainly the offense as it pertains to the distribution of carries or wear and tear on Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears coming back to this football team is a good thing.
Well, it helps. It does help. And of course, we're there at practice every day, and we get to see it. And I've been watching his progress, and the team needs him. They really do, because just as what you said, Red, it's the distribution of carries. Look, Tony Pollard's having a really good year. He's having a good year, because and it's hard to run the football when people know that when you fall behind and you get a separation of score, that you're one dimensional. But Tony Pollard, I would say that if anybody's disappointed in what he's done since he's been here, you haven't been watching the right thing. But that distribution of carries, as you say, and being able, and hopefully they can both be together now for the balance of this season moving forward. It does nothing but help. But I mean, I don't spend a lot of time talking to any of these players because this is their time, and I don't get involved like that. That's not my lane anymore. But you can see that he's pretty eager to get back in there, and this club needs him.
The Cardinals' backs are banged up. So first, James Conner, I think he had dislocation of his ankle and broken. And then Trey Benson has a knee cleaned up. He's on IR for 4 weeks. They have Zonovan Bam Knight. They have Michael Carter. But the name that's interesting to me is your guy that's a frog, and that's Emari DeMercado. He's the one I think, and Jonathan Gannon mentioned in his presser, all 3 guys will play. But he may be the guy that gets some of these carries. 5'9", 215, third-year man from TCU. Hadn't had a whole lot of opportunities. He's appeared in 31 games. I think he's probably been a special teamer more than anything. But it'll be interesting to see that dynamic as it relates to this Cardinals offense.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to get his chance now. And, of course, look, the chance of a player getting injured in this league, I'd hate to be the person that brings this up, is 100%. At some time or another, everybody's going to be dealing with something, and so he's going to get his chance to play. But the way they run their offense, first of all, and you talk about that 13 personnel that I talked about earlier on. That takes some of the heat off of the run game because, again, 13 personnel is a challenge for defensive coordinators with your matchups. Because, as I say, they can make it look like a lot of different ways. But he's going to get his chance, and just don't go to sleep. I caution people not to go to sleep when you're playing the Cardinals on Marvin Harrison Jr. because people expect a lot of these high draft rookies to come in and be immediate successes in the National Football League, which this is not an immediate success league. It really isn't. And that dude's a unit, and he could at any moment be a real problem. And so and with Trey McBride, as you said, as you dug up, that since 2024, he's been 30% of their offense. You're going to have to be able to defend a lot of different places, which gives a chance for a running back if they get an opportunity to play. Some people may not disregard, but gloss over the running back part of this offense because they're worried about the quarterback jitterbugging around back there. They're worried about the tight end, and they're always got an eye out there on a number one receiver. So he's got a chance to do something.
Coach Mack, I'm curious. Yesterday, and Jeffrey Simmons talking with us in the locker room said that Denard Wilson showed the team in a meeting this week a difference between, in the first half, they've only had, I think he said, like 2 or 3 missed tackles in first halves. Then they're in the 30s in missed tackles in the second half. Said it was something that really jumped out in one of the defensive meetings that Jeffrey Simmons was a part of and that whole group was a part of this week, Mac. I'm curious from the coaching perspective, in season, with the way the rules are in terms of the contacts that you can and can't have, and just keeping guys fresh for the season and for Sundays as well, how do you go about coaching that or trying to correct missed tackles in season? Is there really much that coaches can do this time of year with that?
Well, you can't have Oklahoma drill every day. No, you can't. Look, when guys are drafted into this league as defensive players, they can tackle, or they wouldn't even be in this league, and they've proven they can. It's a lot of times when I've dealt with missed tackles as a group, it's either concentration or what it is people not being in the right area, or it's leaving your feet, diving off the diving board after people, or it's not using your leverage correctly because, group tackling is extremely important in the National Football League just because of the skill of ball carriers, both running with the ball and both catching passes. You've got to use your help. I mean, and so to me, it's just attention. It's attention throughout the whole thing because look, tackling is like playing the run. It's an every down thing. It's an every down thing, and you can't just think, well, we tackled well early on, so we're going to tackle well the whole game. Something you got to concentrate on every play, and I'm sure that's what Denard and that defensive staff is. That's why they show that film. Is look, you've done it. You got to concentrate on doing it consistently.
Mack, yesterday Brian Callahan talked about how the explosive plays in this offense have been off script in a lot of ways with Cam's skill set and the way that he kind of creates outside of the framework of the offense. What is the challenge in that for offensive play caller Bo Hardigree, for OC Nick Holtz, for Brian Callahan, in that a lot of the good things that Cam is doing is not really the plan? How challenging is that for a coach then to say, all right, here is the plan, here's what we want you to do, here's how we're going to try to scheme guys open, while understanding that a lot of the good and maybe some of the bad for Cam is outside of that structure? How do you go about putting Cam Ward in a position to make those plays while also understanding that there's got to be a plan and a system that also needs to be implemented for this offense as well?
No, he's playing within the system. The thing that happens when you start going off script is when the score's separated. And that's what happens. And the other thing is, I mean, and Rhett did a real study on this too, which is legitimate. I mean, you've had way too many third and double digits so far in this season, and when you do that, things go way off script because it is off script. As a former defensive play caller, I mean, I'd call a lot of defenses in this league. I've fought to get people to 3rd and 7 plus. Well, they've been in 3rd and double digit. And if you do that, all that advantage goes to the defense. And they start doing things that are unusual. And most of it is being able to play the picket fence defense back there, back up coverage to the sticks, and then just tsunami rush it. Now, that makes things come off schedule really quickly. So the key is success consistently throughout series on 1st and 2nd down. That's where you've got to start with all of that.
Coach Mack, presented by Two Rivers Ford, our guest every Thursday at 7:20 here on the show. Titans and Cardinals on Sunday from Arizona. Mack, I'm excited to visit the house that Coach Mack built. Going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah, well, we're going to be there. I've been on the radio about 700 times in Arizona since the start of the week. I'm sure I'll be on there plenty more. It's always quite the deal when I go back there.
Well, we're glad to be 701 this morning, Mack.
See you guys.
All right.
All right, Mack.
Later, Mack.
Yeah.
Coach Dave McGinnis with us previewing it. Knocking on doors to build an NFL stadium like you're selling Girl Scout cookies.
With your quarterback and Rob Moore.
With your quarterback.
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
It is wild.
It's awesome.
Listen, when Mack puts his book out, and he said it a million times, he's not ever going to put it out until he's done with everything. It will be amazing.
Oh, my
Just
gosh.
the chapters involved in all of that.
I've heard even more stories just in the last 3 months being a part of the Titans radio crew, too, that I had no idea. And I've known Mack since I started here 8 years ago.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Good stuff. Appreciate Mack. And coming up, we're going to preview more of this matchup and the big omissions, plural, for the Arizona Cardinals. Take a look at the injury report for both teams and wrap up hour 2 already coming up next. Wrapping up hour 2 this morning on Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Rhett Bryan in for Ramon. Coming up in 15 minutes, Chris Lowe had a piece at on3.com yesterday, and Diego Pavia is at it again. That's all I'll say. Some of the stuff he had to say in this article makes what he told Paul Feinbaum look tame from over the summer. So we'll talk about that coming up here in 15 minutes. Rhett, we just talked about it with Coach Mack. Cardinals running back Trey Benson underwent arthroscopic surgery on his meniscus and is going to be sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks. He was placed on IR on Wednesday with head coach Jonathan Gannon telling reporters he is expected to return this season. So, Frog, Amari DeMercado is next up on the depth chart in addition to Michael Carter and Bam Knight. This needs to be a game where the tackling problems and the explosive plays in the run game should get cleaned up. Arizona onto their 3rd, 4th, and 5th running backs on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans.
So, first of all, looking through 4 weeks of play, 105.8 yards per game the Cardinals are as a team, 22nd in the league, 4.5 yards per carry, 14th in the league, which is, pretty good stuff. Amari DeMercado, undrafted out of TCU in 2023, 5'11", 215. He's appeared in 31 games, averages 6 yards per carry. That's only on 86 attempts, 3 touchdowns in his career. And I think it was last year he had a 54-yard touchdown in one of their ball games in 2024. But, at 5'11", 215, so he's, stout built, thick built runner. And we'll just see what's what. The main thing, and talking to Keith Bullock about that last night on Titans Tonight, he goes, Rhett, don't discount them. I said, I'm not, because they're all big boys. He said, you remember when we went to Denver several years ago, and he said, Damian Nash, rest in peace, former Titans guy that was on the practice squad, never really got an opportunity here. He went to Denver. He said he ran for $140 on us in Denver. I said, yes. And I said, now that was one of those years. He goes, that you were 4-12 or 5-11. He said, yeah. He said, but Damian ate that day. And I'm like, yeah, that's a valid point and good reminder that these guys are all pros too. I think this would be a bigger problem, and I'm not sliding even Trey Benson, but I think it would be a bigger problem if it was James Conner working with this offense, the way it's distributed and the way it's done. Don't go to sleep on the running backs, but to me, job 1 and job 2 are Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. And the other one in there that I think people sleep on is the wide receiver Greg Dortch, who's been in the league for 5-6 years now out of Wake Forest. He's their primary return guy, and I think he's just a tick under 14 yards per return on punts, but he actually has a better kickoff return average this year through 4 games than Chim Dike does.
Wow.
At 25.3 yards per return. But yeah, the running back part of this will be very interesting to see. And I saw somebody in the chat here say that Jonathan Gannon had mentioned that Michael Carter would be the early down back. He also did say he thinks all 3 of them will play.
Yeah.
Zonovan, Bam Knight, and Carter, and DeMercado.
It's interesting with Arizona. They're 14th in the NFL in yards per attempt on the ground. They just don't attempt very many runs. 94 rushing attempts for them this season is 26th in the NFL, 22nd in total rushing offense. Not necessarily an indicator of how successful the team will be. They only ran for 82 yards and still beat the Panthers. I think the thing that's tricky about their run game is you have to play 11 on 11 because Kyler Murray can pull the ball at any given moment. They run it a lot out of the shotgun. Kyler can pull it and kind of scurry around the edge, and I do mean scurry because when he gets his little legs going, it feels like he is kind of scurrying.
Or as Max says, jitterbug.
Yes, he jitterbugs around. It's interesting. I feel like there are some similarities and some things that Cam Ward can take away from watching Kyler Murray, because Kyler has learned well when to run around and do something crazy and when to be within the structure of the offense and put your foot in the ground and let it rip, because Kyler, for especially how he's built, has pound for pound one of the best arms in the NFL. Just for how big he is, he could spin it. And obviously Cam Ward can as well, and Cam is a good bit bigger. He's not he's not Joe Flacco by any stretch of the imagination, but Cam is a bigger guy certainly than Kyler Murray. That's not saying much. But I think there's a lot that Cam can take away from Kyler to say, all right, that is what my high-end potential, maybe not even high-end potential, that's what I could be. Is that fair comparison, you think?
Well, because of the off-schedule plays, listen, I think there are examples that Cam Ward could look at from Lamar Jackson's play, from Patrick Mahomes' play. These guys that make off-schedule plays with their body, they're not all the same. Their style is not all the same, but they have some of the same attributes and some of the same athletic gifts. But yeah, I think it is something. And listen, if you want to go back and look at some early Kyler Murray tape before he had a lot of this built up around him, you could also learn where he is right now and having not as many weapons as you would like to have. Mm-hmm. But the running part of this, it's easy to understand how the rushers in this work, because that's just we've already talked about 30% of the receiver targets, tight end or otherwise, go through the hands of tight end Trey McBride.
Right.
And then, Marvin Harrison Jr. has had an up and down career so far. I mean, it's evidenced by last Thursday night. He was awful in the first half. He ran an in route, and Kyler threw it out, and that just threw right to the DB. It was a pick.
Right.
The other one was tipped off his hands. That's not on him necessarily, but he regathered and had most of his targets, 58 yards and a score in the second half. And if he has turned a switch on, that's a difficult thing for the Titans. We'll see whether he has or not. But, listen, this Cardinals team, what'd they win? 10 games last year?
8-9 last season.
8-9, okay. I'm sorry. I got
Kyler Murray completed 68.8% of his passes for 3,851 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. He was sacked 30 times last year. He's already been sacked 13 times this year.
He has, and I'll tell you something, that's really interesting because he currently is in his fastest window under time to throw.
I was just looking at that too.
2.62 seconds, I think it is.
Yes.
Which is the fastest in his career so far.
Sixth fastest in the NFL this year.
Yeah. So that's the other part of it where that's a challenge for this Titans defense. But clearly, I guess on those 13 sacks, some of those are the scrambling around trying to make something happen and extend the play,
right,
if they've rushed him correctly. But, listen, he's an athlete. There's no doubt. The baseball attributes you could see, like we talked about yesterday on the show. He was a 9th overall pick in the, 2015 Major League Baseball draft by the Oakland Athletics. So that firing from shortstop to cut off a runner at first, is the thing. You can see those things.
And that's the comparison we got a lot with Cam, too.
Correct.
Like a shortstop flick, for sure. Cam Ward, in terms of time to throw and just comparing those two and how Cam may evolve over his career. Kyler Murray, 6th fastest in the NFL at 2.63 seconds from snap to throw on average. Cam Ward, 28th. In the NFL. It's not necessarily always a good or bad thing. Some offenses are built for you to hold it a little bit longer. Others want to emphasize getting it out. But Cam so far this season, 2.96 seconds in terms of time to throw. It's also not always a bad thing because then you have plays like the touchdown to Alec Iamandor against Indy where there was a good result at the end of 6-7 seconds time to throw. And even just one or two plays like that is also going to kind of saturate that number a little bit.
Well, to your point, how numbers can be skewed, whether it's a good or bad thing. We go back to the 2.62 seconds in time to throw for Kyler Murray. I think in some of those, he's only averaging like 5.5 yards per passing play when he's real quick like that, which means either the defense is doing something to disrupt a little bit or it's a little errant or a little, hurried. You look at a number and go, well, that's impressive. Then you start peeling back the layers and you're like, oh, okay, well, that makes a little more sense when you start extrapolating.
Right. 615-737-1045 is our number. We'll get to more of your phone calls as we begin hour number 3. Plus, Diego Pavia is at it again. We'll tell you how coming up next.
8:01, good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Nashville Soccer Club claimed their first trophy in club history as they defeat Austin FC 2-1 and raise the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Hani Mukhtar opened the scoring in the 17th minute, and Sam Surridge had the difference maker, scoring in the 60th minute off of a penalty kick. This Sunday, Nashville SC is hosting a celebration at Geodis Park that you can attend, and it starts at 5 o'clock. In Titans news, the week's first injury report ahead of their matchup against the Arizona Cardinals dropped yesterday. Blake Hance, J.C. Latham, Bryce Oliver, and Calvin Ridley all did not practice. Mike Brown, James Lynch, Tony Pollard, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Winston Jr., and Kevin Zeitler all were limited. Running back Tajay Spears returned to practice for the first time this season, officially opening his 21-day return-to-play window, and he was listed as a limited participant. For the Arizona Cardinals, they've placed running back Trey Benson on injured reserve for the knee injury. Head coach Jonathan Gannon announced yesterday. Tonight, another NFC West battle on Thursday Night Football. The 3-1 LA Rams host the 3-1 San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers will be without quarterback Brock Purdy and wide receivers Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Jordan Watkins. Backup quarterback Mack Jones will get the start versus the Rams with kickoff tonight at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen to Westwood One's coverage starting at 7 o'clock right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproof needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show getting started on your Thursday morning. Ramona Will is fueled by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. I'll be hitting up Scooter's Coffee on my way to Knoxville today. Do some SEC Network Plus broadcasting. They're right there in Mount Juliet. If you ever go east on I-40, maybe you're just coming into town from that neck of the woods, coming into downtown around now, the Mount Juliet location just right there off the interstate. Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, Mount Juliet. They're friendly, they're fast, and the food, the drinks are delicious. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. We love our friends at Scooter's Coffee for bringing us to you. Rhett Bryan is here for Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling, and Diego Pavia is at it again. In a story by On3's Chris Lowe, Diego Pavia says, I don't know what they're doing. I just focus on us, but I know we've got to bring it. That's for sure. The crowd, I think, is going to be a big factor in the game. Alabama, Vanderbilt, if you haven't heard. But we just got to play within the white lines. If we do that, if we play our game, it won't be close. Diego Pavia to On3's Chris Lowe saying, if we play our game, it won't be close. Alabama famously 0-1 this season against quarterbacks who have trash-talked them. Because Thomas Castellanos did say in the preseason, Nick Saban can't save you. And sure enough, when they played, Nick Saban could not save Alabama from going 0-1.
You know, the thought of this, I mean, and I'm looking in your show notes here of what Johnny Manziel said.
Yes, Johnny Manziel, who's going to be on the sideline for this game with Vanderbilt.
I beat them once. Diego's got a chance to beat them twice. That's the kind of S that they build statues for. I mean, he ain't wrong. I mean, when you're talking about in a program like Vanderbilt, who has not risen to prominence in a long, long time, and there have been periods throughout their program where they were very, very good. But when you just think about this, and Diego, that's the thing that, I mean, there have always been guys who talk trash, and then there's the guys that talk trash and can actually back it up.
And he's backed up all of it so far this year.
I mean, wow. That is something. And he's just going down into Tuscaloosa. It's like, it's no big deal. Whatever.
The thing I think for Vanderbilt that's significant about Diego Pavia is he is starting to become very popular with a different generation of Vanderbilt fan. And for a fan base and for a team that, let's just put it bluntly, is being modernized both on and off the field.
Yeah.
The stadium, I think the fan base is getting younger. through a lot of the people that care about Vanderbilt football because Theo Vaughn and Speed are at practice.
Correct.
And
those
Diego
two
Pavia,
are huge in this.
100%. Like, I'm not saying that a lot of people are out there like watching influencers go to Vandy practice. Oh, I guess I'm a Vandy fan now. But I think the eyeballs matter for a fan base, Rhett, that has always been seen as older. This is not a wine and cheese West End only crowd that is watching Vanderbilt.
Oh, no. It's very much an infusion of younger. I saw it Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, well, but Rhett, that's a college, and there's a student section. I get it. But not everybody coming to that thing is a student there.
Right.
Of that age.
100%.
But yeah, it does not hurt at all that Theo Vaughn and Speed have been very, it's amazing how they kind of, but it's the Diego Pavia effect, I guess.
It is
really what this is. That whole thing, that whole thing about Diego Pavia and Theo Vaughn, and Theo Vaughn said he gets to go on a date with Diego's mother. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
I think there are some diehard Vanderbilt fans that kind of roll their eyes at like all the attention coming now because it's like, all right, where were you a couple years ago, right? And I totally can understand that with the influencer stuff. I know there's former players that have put out there on social media, like, don't try to jump on the bandwagon now, influencer people in Nashville, to try to benefit from this because you weren't there when things weren't good. But I do think there is an element of that fan base having just a younger audience that cares. And I think that matters for the future of Vanderbilt athletics. As Nashville grows, how are you growing with it, and how are you evolving with the city?
Listen.
And this is the way you do it, like it or not, Blue Blood fans.
Listen, every team goes through this. The Titans are working through this right now as we speak with a very young team with a high roster turnover rate and a new building opening up in 2027. You need generational fan base. And whether the old heads, as Ramon would say, like it or not with Vandy, you need to embrace it because that's the future of the program and, growing that fan base and having, as they get older, these youngsters that are out there watching now, bringing their children, bringing their grandchildren to the game. You have to have it. And you need that beyond just your normal fan base. And I get the whole thing of, well, you're getting on the bandwagon now. Thanks. Where were you 20 years ago? Well,
right.
Embrace it because this is clearly a very special time and an even more special window developing so far than what 2024 was, which was crazy for Vandy.
This is what Vanderbilt needs. They've never really had a dog like this, per se. The old Vanderbilt would go into Tuscaloosa this Saturday and get blown out by 20 to 30 points. But this new generation of Vanderbilt football is what catapults Vanderbilt into success for the SEC, not just now, but in the years to come.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back 2-3 years ago when nobody cared about Vanderbilt. Well, why would you if you're just a casual SEC fan? Because they would go into Tuscaloosa and get blown out by 30-plus points. But now, with that new mentality and that new kind of energy around the building and the fan base,
right,
you kind of feel a little bit more confident going to Tuscaloosa that they could cover this 10.5-point spread that is on Saturday.
Well, and it starts with not enough credit goes to Clark Lee with what he's done with this program. Because clearly he's got, people always throw the word culture out there. He's clearly got something working right with that.
He's a leader.
And he, and went through the wilderness to get to this point. And I don't know what it is about Diego Pavia, but that confidence, even swagger, cockiness, you could call it, it's infectious. It's contagious. And if that guy, typically one of the spearheads of a football team is the quarterback, the other's, probably a pass rusher, linebacker, corner, whatever, those cornerstones. If he's emanating that vibe, it's going to catch on.
Right.
And
100%.
I just, now, if they go down there and get crushed, then we'll see what this does for them. But the belief that, and I said it before we ever got to this segment earlier in the show, don't forget those 104.5 The Zone podcasts. It'll be podcasted. You'll get it. But, I mean, they have a belief that they'll roll in there. And I'm telling you, after seeing it up close, when that offense gets to midfield, I swear to you, they have a chance to score on dang near any play.
They feel like they're in the red zone.
Quarterback and of the weapons that are there. And it's not just the tight end. It's not just Sherrill. I mean, they have some options. And Diego is somebody that can extend plays. Now, again, I know the level of talent from Utah State to going to Alabama is two different things. But there's some base innate things in that. I don't know, man. Again, I'm very intrigued by this matchup. And this is one of those things where it's wild that everybody else in the Southeastern Conference is going, come on, Vandy. Come on,
and that's
Vandy.
The thing, too, I think
got it.
In Nashville is that this is an SEC melting pot. All 16 fan bases are represented here. And Tennessee is the most represented, of course. I mean, the Vols are the state team. But beyond that, you have a lot of people who I think are Vanderbilt baseball fans in the spring who might be Auburn grads, Alabama grads, who are Kentucky, obviously has a huge population here, Ole Miss. As you begin to attract some of those people to just come to games, right? Even if you are not a Vanderbilt fan, like local good college football is of interest to a city here in Nashville that was built first before the Titans got here on a love of college football. So I think you start with that in terms of like, how can we get some of these people who maybe are moving to Nashville and transplants from California and New York who aren't college football people? How do we make them Vanderbilt fans? First and foremost, that's your primary goal, to get a younger fan base that is a Nashville-based group of fans. And then secondly, how do we get some of the people to care and invest in us who, A, just want to see Bama lose, and B, are SEC football fans who want to watch good college football in person? I know this game's in Tuscaloosa, so it doesn't apply to this one, but the last time Alabama gave up a touchdown to Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa was 2006. The last two trips to Tuscaloosa. I don't mean this as a slight. I mean it as to show you how far they've come, to show you the games that it's taken. 2022, Bama beat Vandy 55-3. And in 2011, that was the last trip before that, Alabama won 34-0. So the last two trips Vandy has taken to Alabama, they have not gotten in the end zone. In 2006, Bama beat them 13-10. That game was actually vacated, funny enough, for Alabama in that era. And that was the last time that Vanderbilt scored a touchdown in Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Listen, I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination. There will be points scored by the Commodores in Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
We'll just see how many, but they're not staying out of the end zone. I would be shocked if it was something that lopsided. I don't think that's what we're talking about here, because we talked about earlier the signature win that Kalen DeBoer needed, and also Ty Simpson coming of age as the quarterback.
For sure.
Those were two huge indicators that those things are moving in that direction after going and playing Georgia like that and doing that and just winning a 15-round heavyweight fight. But it's early in that discovery. Can you knock them back off of their axis again?
Yep.
Because you have a chance to do that. Because those Bama fans are still, man, that was fun last week, but is there more?
Well, and that's the thing about Kalen DeBoer teams at Washington and at Alabama, and we've seen it with them against opponents that aren't Georgia. Their consistency of performance and of competitiveness is their issue. They'll turn it up for the big games. It's Oklahoma on the road. It was South Carolina at home last year with a running quarterback similar to Diego Pavia and Lenora Sellers. It was Michigan in the bowl game. It's the teams not named Georgia that they often don't bring their A game. Alabama is not good enough relative to Vanderbilt to not bring their A game and coast in this whatsoever.
And the other part of it is, what is the holdover effect from Bama's side of things for the guys who are still on that roster that came to First Bank Stadium and lost?
Right.
Does that stick in their craw enough? Does that, make them want to just stick their foot on their neck? And,
sure.
We'll see. There's so many variables to this, but if anybody on that roster is overlooking or underestimating Vanderbilt, that is a huge mistake.
They don't need to be on the roster.
That's a huge mistake.
Right. I think Bama, it's kind of one of those games where they pull away late in the fourth quarter and are able to win this, but nothing will surprise me in this game other than probably Vandy blowing them out in their own building. I think that's
right. No, I think
that's everything else is on the table.
I think that's what we're saying is that Vandy can hang with them and compete with them. Let's just see what separates it.
I agree. Coming up, some words from Titans folks over at St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. I got the chance to be in the locker room, hear from players. Brian Callahan talking about splitting up time between Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. Cam Ward talked about that as well. And then one tweak that the Titans could make and something they could do more of on offense, starting on Sunday in Arizona, something that Brian Callahan and Cam Ward talked about yesterday. You will hear about that coming up next. Hey, what's up? It's Will Bowling for my friends at Lee Company. Do you have a plumbing issue at home? Maybe it is just one of those things that's been on the to-do list. You've got the sticky note on the fridge to take care of the leaky faucet, the clogged drain, the water heater that, is giving you about 5 minutes of warm water, but not everything that you need. It's gone cold. I'm here to tell you the plumbing professionals at Lee Company have your back. Available 24/7 year-round. Lee Company's licensed technicians can save you time, money, and all the stresses that come with an ill-timed plumbing issue. And Lee Company understands that when things aren't working around the house, usually the timing couldn't be worse, right? Well, the good thing is they're open 24/7. Available 24/7, 365, year-round. Contact Lee Company's award-winning team today at leecompany.com. Hand them the to-do list. Let Lee Company take care of it. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need.
Work. It's what we do. Part of who we are. There is joy in work. And no matter what size your business is, the dedicated commercial team at Two Rivers Ford will find the work trucks and vans that keep your business moving. And Two Rivers is the only dealer that offers a 90-day free fleet management program that can help you save money on every single mile. The Commercial Vehicle Center at Two Rivers Ford. We work for you.
Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone. Thursday morning continues. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Been a little bit of everything so far this morning. A lot of Vanderbilt conversation, a lot of Titans, a lot of Nashville SC. And we got more Titans for you here with some headlines from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. First, though, we go to
From
the
the
phones.
News Center.
Exactly right. 615-737-1045. Casey Beard.
And the
Talking
Sunshine
Titans.
Band.
What's up, Casey Beard?
So, my man, I had just a question about just the overall, run game,
Sure.
mainly with the NFL. Is it more, having a great offensive line or having an outstanding running back that has your run game be so, good? Because, teams like Philadelphia, they have a great offensive line and Saquon. I heard y'all talking about Tony Pollard, how he has all these yards after contact. If he had any help on the offensive line, it would make him, seem more of a star, as far as running backs. I'm not saying he isn't one now, but, just the numbers, somebody like Saquon or even Derrick Henry was putting up is just crazy. So just y'all's thoughts on that. And just to add on the Vanderbilt conversation y'all are having, dude, I'm 27 and I've lived here my whole life. There has been absolutely no reason for me to even look at Vanderbilt football in regards to any type of, entertainment-wise. To all the guys that are where were the fans at? Dude, I was 7 years old, and I definitely wasn't watching Vanderbilt football. So,
Sure.
Just take any type of publicity you can and just try to grow the program.
Sure.
That's all I would add on that.
I like it. Appreciate the call. I'm 28 and I'm in the same boat, so I'm with you. On the note about the run blocking, Rhett, obviously, if you have an Eagles kind of line, and Saquon Barkley, who's maybe the, best back, second best back, top 5 back in the league, top 2.
He's 2,000-yard rusher, so,
Yeah.
It's
him and Derek, and then kind of
Right.
everyone else. And I'd probably put McCaffrey in there, too. I just think the state of line play in the NFL is changing, especially depth-wise, because you don't have as many reps in training camp to develop linemen. Because the best experience is playing. The best way to learn is playing football, obviously, and when you can't develop as many full contact periods and backup depth pieces on the line until they play, they're not going to get much better just doing the things they are in practice, only. But I think that is more of a thing, Rhett, where now you are seeing the NFL correct back to the running back position being more emphasized as 2 safety looks become more common and as explosive plays go down. And we talked about that yesterday.
Yep.
And teams are now, with so many big armed quarterbacks and track star 7-on-7 trained receivers, they are adjusting. And now you're seeing offenses adjust back and say, all right, you give me 2 safeties. I'm just going to run into a light box. That's what teams are adjusting.
And that's the problem that the Titans will face Sunday is Budda Baker, one of the best safeties in the game at the very least in description of being the 8th man in the box coming down there. Because, we looked at his numbers yesterday. He leads the NFL in run stuffs and run stops and usually is way up there in that category every year he's played. But back to Casey Beard's question about the run game. Ideally, in a perfect world, you've got a good line and a good back because you can see there are classic examples of backs who were better than their line and still made something out of it. And then there are also examples of backs who didn't have a good line and careers were cut short because there was just so much wear and tear. The penultimate example to me in the last 25, 30 years is Barry Sanders with the Detroit Lions.
Sure.
That guy was a one-man wrecking crew, and there was so many years that team was bad and did not have a good line in front of him. We always talk about, we have these topics in the summer where it's like, well, what if, Muhammad Ali was boxing and, you put people in different eras.
Sure.
In the same era of time, if Barry Sanders was behind the Dallas Cowboys
Oh, my gosh.
offensive line,
Yeah, right.
he would be the NFL's all-time leading rusher, not Emmitt Smith.
Right.
Because that would mean Emmitt Smith is somewhere else. I've seen the Titans when they played Barry Sanders and the rare occasions they did that. He's an amazing he was like a ping pong ball back there, a pinball machine, the way he would juke and spin. And so that's an example of what a really, really good transitional generational back can do for a team, even if they're not that good around them.
Well, speaking of running backs, the Titans had their second or 1B or additional running back practicing yesterday. Tajay Spears' window to return from IR was opened, and we talked to him in the locker room yesterday. Good to see him smiling.
Yeah,
happy to be back out there. He is a generally positive guy, and it's good to see him looking and sounding like himself. I will say too, just being on the sideline, because I've had a front row seat to this. He's traveled with the team even since he got hurt in Tampa, and he has been vocal on the sideline talking with Tony Pollard, Julius Chestnut, and Randy Jordan, the entire running back group in there. And he talked about that yesterday, saying, like, I wanted to still be a part of things. I wanted to still encourage the team any way that I could, even though I can't play. And in game, he is helping look at the Surface tablets. He's helping talk and encourage Tony. And heck, Tony's so beat up over there on the sideline because he's taken so many hits that the encouragement's needed. But that's the kind of person Tajay is. I want to hear from Brian Callahan here, Rhett, as he talks about how Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard can split time up. The follow-up question here from Teron Davenport is about how the RPO game can be a bigger part of the offense, which feels like the element of shotgun running, and that's what Tajay thrives in, is in those types of settings. This was Brian Callahan talking about both of those concepts yesterday.
Yeah, I think putting a number on it or a finite statement on it at the moment until we know where he's at and how, type of shape he's in and game shape. He hadn't played in a month. And he hasn't played yet this year except for the preseason game that he played in. So we're going to see where he's at, see how much he can handle from a conditioning and load standpoint. But certainly would like to have him involved. I mean, the way he was practicing in training camp was really exciting. We were very much looking forward to seeing how he could help us on offense. He brings an explosive element that and a change of pace that is going to be good for us. So hoping to get him involved as quickly as possible and as much as he can handle.
So that was Brian Callahan yesterday. Justin, if we have the comment he made about the RPOs as well in there, I'd like to get that too, because Rhett, we talked about this preseason a lot. I remember talking about it with you in one of our weekly segments. The Titans going to a Miami-esque Cam Ward built offense suits Tajay Spears really well, doesn't it? And the types of things that he does well as a shotgun runner that can kind of operate in a phone booth. It feels like that's the tweak the Titans haven't been able to make yet because Tajay hasn't been healthy. He's a good fit to play alongside Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about him, you would look at him and Tony Pollard and see, well, they have a lot of the same skill set and traits. They do. But as individual as they are person to person, one guy's a little better at some other things and vice versa. But no, he can absolutely play alongside Tony and make this thing work. The shame of it is, because of the injury situations with him last year, we never got to see a whole lot of that because he missed, 5-6 games?
Right.
He had a hamstring and then he had a concussion. But I'm telling you, in a world where the Titans need any help they can get, and I'm not saying that Tajay is going to be the end-all, be-all difference maker. He can help this football team. He's a good player. But the thing about him, and it's not surprising to me at all that you've seen him interact with the team and travel with the team. The thing about somebody like him, as positive as he is, when you go on injured reserve, you're basically exiled from the team in a lot of things.
Right.
Like you can't practice with them. I mean, there's so many things where you're separated. And so staying engaged like that shows what a good teammate he is, and probably for his own sanity in this, because that's got to be a lonely feeling.
No doubt. No doubt. Cam Ward was also very excited to get Tajay Spears back at the practice field. This was the Titans quarterback talking about him yesterday.
I'm real excited. He's been looking real good, especially today, finally getting him back. It's going to be able to boost our offense a lot just from what he can do, not obviously in the running game, but just in the check down game, giving him the ball in space, a little couple plays for him. But, I'm excited to have him back. I've been waiting to play with Tajay, so, I'm ready. I know he's ready to go show out.
as you guys continue to get what plays are up and down throughout the week, do you at all lobby for more RPO opportunities? And why do you think you were able to excel at that so much in college?
You said RPOs?
Yes.
I just think it's just how I was bred from coming out of a wing T offense all the way to, spread offense throughout college and my time in Miami. And so I've always done RPOs my whole football life. And so it's really about seeing space, seeing leverage, and then if whoever the read is for that play, if he leaves, I can throw it, not hand it off. So once we get into it, I think it'll help us out a lot. But at the end of the day, we got to establish the run game. We got to establish a consistent pass game. And, at the end of the day, that's going to be what, makes us, be a good offense.
That's Cam Ward speaking to the media yesterday. Watching Tajay in training camp, Brett, I was excited in a lot of the operating in a phone booth plays that he had. And I remember asking Tajay about it in training camp, saying, do you feel like you're a better fit for this offense than the ones that were previously run here? And he kind of gave me a diplomatic answer, but you could tell, there was an excitement to be in this system with this quarterback. And I think that's the next card the Titans can play in terms of the structure, in terms of the framework of what you're telling Cam to do on script before the play breaks down. I think the RPOs is something we saw more of in camp than we've seen in games, and I'm curious as Cam gets more comfortable with the 100 level stuff, if that's the next layer the staff can add on to his plate.
Well, you have to also take into consideration, while we haven't seen that as much, as they haven't been able to get a lot of stuff generated on first and second down. And so when they're 3rd and 7+ and fighting for their lives, I just feel like that's a part of it. I really do. But no, listen, everybody's looking for answers right now, and I can understand why TD was asking him about the RPO stuff, because that relates to his skill set and game in this. But he can be a friend of this offense. He can be a friend to Cam Ward. And you heard Cam talking about, I'm excited to have him back out there because he hadn't really had the opportunity to play with him.
Right. On play action this year, Cam Ward just 25 attempts, 15 completions for 154 yards on play action passes. Brian Callahan was asked, I thought it was a good question, with so many of your explosive plays being off script, how do you put Cam in the position to make those plays while also encouraging him to be more of a drop back passer? Brian Callahan had this to say about some of the movement and bootleg stuff to set up Cam for success.
Yeah, I think one of the things you saw, maybe from the Indy game in certain points is, and some of the stuff we've done over the years, like some of the boot game is and movement game is very similar, where you're getting outside of the pocket and you're moving off the launch point, and there's guys moving across the field. That first drive in Houston, same sort of thing happened. We're running a movement play, and they kind of cover the initial part of it, and Alec breaks across the field, and Cam's got time and makes a big throw off schedule. Those are the things you can interject and give to him that feel a little bit like that. So that, moving the pocket's always going to be a part of what we want to do, and that boot game and movement game is a good complement to that.
So that, Red, I think is the next step for this offense, because on Sunday they established the run but weren't able to hit any big plays off of setting up the run in that big play action pass over the top, because they're unable to block it, or they just got, again, in too many predictable third and chain situations where when you're in 3rd and 12, everybody knows what you're doing. You're trying to throw it to the sticks or past the sticks. That's the element of Tajay Spears coming back, a run game that can be more consistent and be more balanced, helping Tony Pollard. Could that set up the rollout, bootleg, get Cam on the run and let him throw it deep kind of element to this offense? That's hopefully the step you can see them take with a better run game.
No, the run game part of this, and listen, that's exactly what the Titans defense is going to try to guard against Sunday against the Cardinals.
Sure.
We read the running numbers for them as a team, the rushing numbers, and listen, they go hand in hand and they play off of one another. But this deal with anything involving more than just Tony Pollard in this and having somebody else to rotate in that can help you distribute these carries and save some of the wear and tear on your body, it's got to be a good thing. The main thing is they were better on penalties Sunday, and there were some other things that weren't that great, and clearly by the end of the score, the final score.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the other part of it too, is they had some pre-snap penalties that put them behind the chains,
right.
and but this is something that could certainly help jumpstart the offense a little more.
No doubt. Open for your phone calls. I got a few minutes wide open to take your thoughts on Titans and Cardinals if you got them. 615-737-1045. As we catch up on that, take a look at some NFL headlines as well. Coming up next. The face that I just made when I heard this riff. Not a good one. See it on 104.5 The Zone TV. Ramona Will, fueled by Scooter's Coffee, wrapping up hour 3. It's Friday Junior. Supposed to be improving my mood. That just I can't say these 3 words in succession. So anyway,
don't let it affect you.
If you take the orange glasses off, this is a banger.
With as much Vanderbilt as we've talked on this show today and how complimentary I have been of them, my orange glasses didn't even make it out of my car today. They're still in my glove box.
Wow. Okay. It's just a song. It'll be okay.
It's fair.
You know that, right?
I love Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner, one of the penultimate examples of Southern rock.
Simple Man is one of my favorite songs of all time.
The Ballad of Curtis Lowe. You ever heard that song?
No.
By Leonard Skinner?
Okay. I'll check it out.
Highly recommend. That's probably my favorite in their catalog, because the other stuff I used to play on the radio, and I'm still have occupational hazards from that.
Sure.
But I'm more of an Allman Brothers guy.
Okay.
Allman Brothers, you talk about not just Southern rock, but just being musicians and
sure.
Oh man.
I like it.
Good stuff. But yeah, the Ballad of Curtis Lowe, Leonard Skinner, look that one up, because that is a good one.
Cool. I like it. Yesterday, it was made official that Dylan Gabriel will start this weekend for the Cleveland Browns, QB1. And Shedeur Sanders is still QB3. This was the audio of Shedeur Sanders talking about it in the locker room yesterday.
You're going to set off.
That was Shedeur Sanders talking to the media yesterday in Cleveland.
You're going to set off a silence alarm that our bosses are going to go, what the hell's going on?
Here's actually a follow-up question. This follow-up answer was good from Shedeur talking about Dylan Gabriel being the starting quarterback. Thanks, Shedeur. That was Shedeur Sanders talking about. So if you missed it, if you're unfamiliar with the joke that I'm making, yesterday he was pantomiming answers. And he was mouthing answers like he was talking to the media. And I guess, Rhett, because he's making the point of like, well, whatever I say, it's going to be twisted. You think we're not going to twist this too, Shedeur? What are we doing, man? Like, this is why Shedeur Sanders was drafted where he was drafted. It's this and the fact that he was asked to put stuff up on a whiteboard after meeting with teams. And the second time he met with them, he couldn't recall information. Like, all the other stuff involved with being a quarterback. If you're not the starter, nobody wants to deal with this crap.
Let's dig in for a second, because we haven't visited the Shedeur Sanders topic in a while.
Yeah.
It was very, very heavily involved in the draft process. The guy can play.
Yes.
And I think he can play in the league. I think the biggest thing he's guilty of is being Coach Prime's son.
Some of that fair, some of that unfair.
That's a big part of it. And, you know, I think if he stays around long enough and quits pantomiming answers in the locker room to the press, we may get a chance to see him at some point. And, you know, I don't know where he should have been drafted. Everybody had him in that first-tier quarterbacks. I don't think he was supposed to be there, but I don't necessarily agree with him being a fifth-round pick either. Right. That was a wild thing to watch through that draft weekend, as most everybody who's a big NFL or draft fan followed along. Going, how far does he fall?
Because he doesn't have fifth-round film.
No. And that's why when we got to the end of night two, I'm like, wow. Because I thought for sure he'd be called in the second or third round latest is what I thought.
Agreed.
And then it got to be day 3, and I'm like, man, there's more to this than just, you know, what is on the film and the evaluation. And then those reports came out about him flunking the whiteboard, and and I don't know how much of that's true or not. I wasn't in those rooms, but he hadn't played it down in the NFL in a regular season game yet, and he's already such a polarizing figure.
I know.
It's just wild to me. And Dylan Gabriel, I mean, we're going to see what he's made of. Guys played a whole lot more college football than Shedeur. Shedeur played quite a bit, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But Dylan had a resume more akin to Bo Nix in terms of those things. But anyway, the pantomime answers, I just...
Weird, man.
I can understand he's trying to be cute or whatever, but it's just strange to me.
Apparently,
I don't see Cam Ward doing that, and I guess that's what I'm already used to.
Absolutely.
Apparently, it was in response to Rex Ryan on Get Up the other day, talking about just him to be quiet so I can play that.
An outstanding coach, all right? But why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders? We're all waiting to see this Shedeur Sanders be the guy or Gabriel, whatever. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
We'll see.
That was Rex Ryan on Get Up. He's basically just talking about his study habits and his off-the-field antics. And then, of course, he's asked about being quarterback 3 and not being quarterback 2. And then he just wants to pantomime.
Some of the attention on Shedeur, I mean, a lot of the attention on Shedeur is not his choice. I mean, you're right. Like, having the last name Sanders is going to give you a spotlight that you didn't choose. But the reality of the situation is that every player has something they've got to overcome, and that's just his. And it's not fair that he's got more to overcome than anyone else, but the way to overcome it is by just being normal. Like, I don't know what, like, it's really that simple. Like, just give answers, and you don't have to make yourself such a show in such a thing that's going to be posted everywhere. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. Knew exactly what he was doing. And that's the way that you bring more negative attention on yourself, is by doing that. Just carry yourself like a third-string quarterback, because Shedeur, right now, that's exactly what you are.
Well, and the whole thing about, what was it, in night 2 of the draft, he was at a party and he was rapping and, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I understand you're trying to blow some steam. Right. And I know you're trying to blow some steam off because you're disappointed you weren't taken in the first round and all these things. But to your point, Will, some of this stuff he brings on himself, and this is one of those examples. And I'm going to tell you right now, just watching the chat here.
Yeah.
Mareko Johnson says the Titans should have taken him. Cam Ward is a trash can. Well, here's the thing.
Oh, Lord.
Well, that's unfair to both parties in this. We don't know what Shedeur Sanders is yet because we haven't had the opportunity to see it. And you got Cam Ward in a 4-game sample saying he's a trash can.
We won't know on Cam till year 3.
Look, man.
Honestly.
The instant, and I same way about let's grade the draft. They haven't done anything yet. Like, calm down.
It's just now time to grade the 2022
But the
draft.
whole thing about, I mean, Cam is a trash can. Okay. But I'm sure there's a few people out there that say that. This guy happens to be one of them. But, you know, that is how polarizing Shedeur Sanders is in this. And listen, if you look at the film of him at Colorado, you will see the differences in Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
And the athleticism part of it is a huge separator between those two.
Yeah.
Like, none of those Sanders kids, from what I can gather, got the physical attributes of their father, who was a world-class athlete.
For sure.
I've seen him myself, one of the fastest human beings, like legit skills. And he was not blessed with that. But the kid can play ball. I just don't know how much and how far. And he hasn't had the opportunity yet. But anyway.
Comment on YouTube says, even when he does say normal things, people have stuff to say, so it doesn't matter. No, it does matter, because this is beyond just saying normal things. Like, obviously, yes, he is going to have people who don't like him because of the way he carries himself. Even when he does say the right things, control what you can control. Because now you're bringing an even worse spotlight onto yourself beyond just the loud minority. Because now there is a loud majority of people who are like, what in the world are you doing? So, yeah, no, like, he's never going to please everyone. Welcome to life in 2025 on social media. None of us are ever going to
welcome to
please
life,
everyone.
period.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the part where I say being Deion Sanders' son makes him guilty by association, for lack of a better term, in a lot of things. And I'm trying to give the young man a bit of the benefit of the doubt, because when he does get his turn, I will be very interested to see how he plays at this level. And everyone's entitled to their opinions in the chat. And, Cam can be trash and he can be the next MVP. We have to see. We don't know right now.
Yeah.
To say anything about either one of those guys this early on, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show. Your phone calls 615-737-1045. There is one key point of adjustment, of coaching, that Cam Ward is taking from Brian Callahan, Nick Holtz, and Bo Hardegreen. We'll talk about what he is trying to adjust coming up next.
9:02, good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Nashville Soccer Club claims their first trophy in club history as they defeat Austin FC 2-1 and raise the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Hani Mukhtar opened the scoring in the 17th minute, and Sam Surridge with the difference maker, scoring in the 60th minute off a penalty kick. Also, Nashville SC this Sunday is hosting a celebration for the trophy at Geodis Park at 5 o'clock. In Titans news, the week's first injury report ahead of their matchup against the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday dropped yesterday. Blake Hance, J.C. Latham, Bryce Oliver, and Calvin Ridley all did not practice. And Mike Brown, James Lynch, Tony Pollard, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Winston Jr., and Kevin Zeitler all were limited. Running back Tajay Spears returned to practice for the first time this season yesterday, officially opening his 21-day return to play window, and he was listed as a limited participant. Tonight, the 3-1 L.A. Rams host the 3-1 San Francisco 49ers for Thursday Night Football. The 49ers will be without quarterback Brock Purdy and wide receivers Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Jordan Watkins. So that means backup quarterback Mac Jones will get the start against the Rams. Kickoff tonight is at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen to Westwood One's coverage right here on 104.5 The Zone starting at 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into hour number 4. Ramon and Will is fueled by Scooter's Coffee. On this Thursday morning, Scooter's Coffee is locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. We have amazingly quickly already come upon hour number 4 of the program this morning. Justin Hawkins makes the show happen. That's Rhett Bryan with the fourth quarter of the show imminent. He's filling in for Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. In 15 minutes, Thursday 3 picks against the spread in a football weekend preview. My picks have gone ice cold, like dry ice cold. I am 0 for my last 6, and half of them are within 1 point. So we're going to keep just taking it play by play and keep our heads down and keep working to do better today. So I've got 3 winners for you coming up here in just about 15 minutes. Brian Callahan, yes, that's right, allegedly. Brian Callahan yesterday talking about Cam Ward's footwork. I thought this was interesting, Rhett, in comparing quarterback footwork to a golf swing. And a good follow-up question, too, of shouldn't quarterbacks kind of have that figured out mostly by this point? And Brian Callahan, you'll hear him, is no. There are guys in their 30s that still have not totally figured out footwork quite yet. This was Brian Callahan talking about the adjustment his staff is continuing to try to make with Cam Ward.
There's certainly things, especially when you're coming from the college game into the pro game, and the timing is so much more exact at this level, and the progressions of the quarterback, where his eyes go, what the route is, tied directly into his drop and his footwork. Those things have to be very precise, and it does take some time for guys to understand what that feels like and what it looks like, where your feet are tied into really the progression. And so as your feet hit the top of the drop and you take one hitch and your eyes go 1 to 2 to 3, that's a huge part of playing quarterback in the NFL. And it's a process that takes guys a little bit of time. We're still working really hard with Cam on those things. There's moments where it's really good, and there's moments where he's continuing to understand and get better at it. Those are high areas of focus for us in terms of the timing of the passing game, with tied in with his footwork and the discipline and patience of the footwork too. That's all a huge part of it. So it's a constant work in progress, and there's signs where it looks really good, and then we have moments where we got to keep correcting it. So I'd say the best thing is it's a work in progress.
It's Brian Callahan speaking with the media yesterday. Rhett, even with the adjustments and with the schematic things that haven't worked, and just trying to figure out how this offense operates at its best, there is still an element of Cam's only done this for 4 games in the NFL, and there is still a learning process where as live bullets start flying, habits start coming out that you've got to correct in real time that you don't get to correct in preseason and in practice, because the live bullets aren't flying and you can't get hit in those settings.
Well, it's like we were talking about yesterday on the show about the misnomer of there being halftime adjustments. Halftime's 13 minutes long. There's adjustments being made series by series. I did find it interesting, and you're right. Let's continue to say it's a 4-game sample size for Cam Ward. That's why it's unfair to say he's trash. It's unfair to say, he's learning on the job. Mm-hmm. And but the interesting thing I found in all that is that Brian did mention it akin to a golf swing, and that is something you're constantly working on. And I think what he was, and I'm guessing when I'm saying this, but when he's talking about quarterbacks in their 30s still working on that stuff, I wonder if that isn't from a conversation he had with Matthew Stafford when he was, with the Detroit Lions stuff. I just wonder, because he knows a lot of people in the league, and all these coaches do, but I did find it interesting. And when he was coming out with that answer, I was like, he's going to go golf here. I'm pretty sure. Just because that's usually relatable to kickers and punters and those things, with their trajectory and leg swing. But I understand his correlation. And no quarterback ever has it completely figured out, because last time I figured and checked, there's no quarterback that has a perfect passer rating and never threw an interception. And
that's right.
And not just because the defense they were facing was really, really good.
That is still the hope that I am holding out on the Titans offense, Rhett, is that there is a moment that things start to click for Cam in just playing within the structure of this system. I still see guys open. I still see plays that are close. Kevin Zeitler, we played the audio of that on Tuesday, speaking to the media Monday, said, we still have a lot of belief in this system and in what we're doing because we see on film you're a split second away. You're holding a block a little bit longer away from someone being open. And guys are open. Cam's just, it's not all clicking. I think there is some of that is under Cam's control and under his process of just learning how to play NFL football. The follow-up about this, Justin, if we've got it now, about why is that something that Cam is still working on? I thought this was also interesting from Brian Callahan.
Oh, no, they're never past it. There's guys that are in years into their career that are still working on those things. To me, I would liken it to it's probably similar to like a golf swing, right? Where you're sort of always working on it. You're always tinkering with it. You're always finding out where you can make it better, where you can be more efficient. Those are all things that guys are working on. I mean, all these guys still go all offseason long to go see other quarterback coaches and guys to continue to work on it. It's a craft is the best way to put it. The footwork and the anticipation and the timing of playing quarterback is an art form, and they spend a lot of time working on it, trying new things, tweaking it. So I would say it's never something that guys ever arrive to. I mean, it's something we're always constantly working on with quarterbacks, especially young ones. And sometimes they don't get the same type of detailed footwork and coaching in those years of the 7-on-7s and stuff like that. They just go out and play ball. So yeah, I think it's a skill, it's a craft, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on.
It is what we read about Cam coming out of Miami, was that there is still an element of backyard football you want to build around, but there are still mechanical tweaks that are not just going to happen overnight.
Well, it's like anything else in life, not just football. Trying to find middle ground.
Right.
Still pulling those attributes from him while maintaining some functionality and fundamental operational skills, because it's operating the offense is what he's trying to do. And there will be moments where that clicks in him and it works, and there'll be times where he needs to live to fight another down.
Sure.
And they're trying to find the middle ground in all that, not suppressing his natural skill set and attributes, but also putting him in success, places to succeed.
615-737-1045, our number as Hour 4 continues. And Thursdays at 9:20, we give you a football preview against the spread, against totals, and maybe we even just luck into making you some U.S. American currency in the process. The Thursday 3 is next. Thursday morning continues on Ramon and Will. Friday Junior on the program. Stream it live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Our opportunity to make you some U.S. American currency. And if you are following my bets, the best way to make money is by taking the opposite of what I've taken the last 2 weeks.
Hey, before we get this started, I don't mean to derail the segment.
You're
here.
good.
But The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Very good.
Like pretty much everybody knows that song. And you would go, but Rhett, that's a broad, wait a minute. Not everybody knows that song.
Sure.
Do you ever hear a song and you think of something? I mean, music does that. Puts you in a time and a place.
For sure.
So I think about, we were on a bus leaving, I think it was the Pontiac Silverdome.
Okay.
And going back to the airport. And I'm sitting on the bus and we're riding down the highway. And Steve McNair and Eddie George, and I want to say Brad Hopkins, and I want to say Kevin Dyson. I can't remember who the other parts of but they were all playing cards in the back of the bus. And Eddie and Steve start belting that song out, and they know every lyric.
Nice.
All of them. Did not have that on the bingo card.
No.
And this was a long time ago, but
Nice.
I'm like, all right,
I like
okay.
Was not familiar with your game. I like it. That's cool. Pontiac Silverdome is Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. It's a stupid question, but just that predated me a little bit. Ford Field was what year? What year was that built?
2004 or 5.
That's what I thought. Let's see. Ford Field opened August 24th, 2002.
Okay, I was
longer
off.
than I thought. Pretty close.
That was the first time I went to the Pontiac Silverdome. Our booth was right next door to the Lions home radio.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized, I was like, because this is when I hadn't been traveling very long.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is a big deal. I look in their booth, and they've got Bill Lambier and Joe Dumars in there interviewing. I'm like, this is the bad boys of the Pistons. I'm like, okay.
Decent.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is interesting.
Nice. What was, I'm curious, is there a stadium that is no longer used that was one of your favorites like that? Like a place that is no longer the stadium of one of the 32 NFL teams that you thought was particularly cool?
No, because they were antiquated.
Right.
Like they were cool for their time, but as newer and bigger and better things came along, they became archaic.
Sure.
No, I don't have any great memories of the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome or any
Candlestick.
Of that. Yeah, let me tell you something. Candlestick was not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Even baseball people kind of say the same thing.
Yeah, wasn't great. And O.co or whatever it last was where the Athletics and the Raiders played. Woof. Woof.
We had a good final trip there with the win that Ryan Tannehill and the Titans had on that day, where it was like a 95-yard touchdown pass from Tannehill to A.J. Brown, the Titans' last ever trip to Oakland.
That's right.
Getting the win. That was 2019, I believe, late that season. With
And I think
Tannehill taking over.
That was it. And then they were gone.
I think, wasn't that the game that Will Compton got like mossed by the Titans fullback? Right? Was it a
might have
Kari
been.
Blasen game at that point?
Yeah. That sounds right.
That's what I remember at that game. Sorry, Will, if you're out there. But I have nothing against Will Compton.
All right, I've totally derailed.
No, you're good.
The
You're
segment.
good. But no, that was. I'm always fascinated by stuff like that, especially now as I'm starting to see more of these stadiums myself too, and just kind of the history of those things. So very cool. It was also cool, real quick. The last thing I'll say about it, to see the artist formerly known as the Astrodome on the way to NRG,
The House of Pain,
and the now abandoned Astrodome, which is like the home of feral cats and stuff in there.
Yeah, it's
very weird.
They did, the Houston Chronicle did a piece on that years ago about what to do with the building. And it was, even back then, it's probably 15 years ago.
Right.
How much it was going to cost just to demolish it, how much it would cost to renovate it and make the Houston Sports Hall of Fame, any of these things. And it's just sitting there.
Right.
And it shows you also just how big NRG Stadium is, because it is dwarfed by it.
I could not believe how big that building was. And you told me also this weekend.
State Farm Stadium.
Arizona's
get
even
ready.
bigger. Yeah.
It's a big one.
Nice.
Cats,
Excited to, go ahead.
Cats always need a home. Why would they get rid of the home?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the Roomba in the desert. The week
Sounds
after
like
that
he's
in
sitting
Vegas.
on go for Hawks loss.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Justin, you are the leader of the clubhouse at 10-5 in the Thursday 3. So go ahead and hit it. Lead us off.
Hawks loss. I love that.
It's the cha-ching at the end. Is what makes it. Puts it over the edge.
My stone cold lead pipe block. I'm going to give you this as if the game has already been played.
That's right.
All right, I had to make a last-second pivot because I was doing some research on Iowa State versus Cincinnati on Saturday, and I just realized that Iowa State's top 2 cornerbacks both have torn their ACL and are going to miss this week. So I'm going to take a last-second pivot, and I'm just going to go to Georgia and Kentucky, as Georgia is the minus 20.5-point favorite at home against Kentucky. The only reason why I decided to make this pivot is because when the Bulldogs play in Lexington, things kind of go a little iffy. But in Athens, Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs take care of business. They average margin of victory is 28.5 points. Plus, Kentucky is starting now a redshirt freshman in Cutter Boley, and they've had some growing pains, and they lost more than 20 points against South Carolina last week, and I expect that trend to continue. So I'm going to take Georgia minus 20.5 at home.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Kentucky has been one of those teams that has challenged Georgia. I mean, last year, of course, yeah, right. We talked about that earlier this year. The 13-12 game last season in Lexington, 2023. Georgia hung 51 on them, beat them 51-13. But then 2022 in Lexington, 16-6. Like, had some random low scoring, just like games in there.
Right.
I think you're right. I think Georgia bounces back strongly.
Coming off that loss.
Coming off the loss to Alabama. And
it's not going to happen twice.
They ran the ball well enough in the second half. That game kind of followed the script they wanted. Lean on them early, just keep pounding away. That way they kind of crumble. But 1 4th and 1 stop is the difference.
Right.
And then once you get the ball back again, you're a little bit more in a passing situation, and you can't be as much, dependent on the run game. So, yeah, I like that pick. Georgia
I think the defense is going to be pretty physical. They're going to come hot and heavy.
It's fair. Rhett, what does Ramon have for his first pick?
He also has Georgia minus 20.5.
Okay.
He does. And I wouldn't disagree with it either, because they're going to be full of you-know-what and vinegar after last week. And, I don't know that ends very well. But the most valid point in this is what Jayhawk said about them having a freshman quarterback in this thing, and Cutter Boley, and just trying to navigate that stuff. Yeah, I think the Bulldogs go in there and make it happen.
They will roll. I agree with you on that one. That is an 11 a.m. start, kind of a sleepy early kick there in
the old
Athens.
Jefferson Pilot game.
Yes, that's right. Where are the 3 Daves when you need them? Dave Neal, who, of course, was on the Tennessee broadcast last weekend. Kentucky is very easily the worst team in the SEC to start the season. And I know Arkansas just got pantsed at home to Notre Dame and gave up over 400 yards. Yeah, right. They just gave up over 400 total yards of offense in the first half to Notre Dame on Saturday. But as close as they played Ole Miss, and I don't know, as close as I know Kentucky kind of played Ole Miss close too, but Talon Green is something you can hang your hat on offense. Kentucky has a totally new offense again.
Yeah.
They can't keep those guys on campus who are worth keeping, and Barryon Brown and Dayton Key are gone. I think it's going to be a long year. Long year in Lexington, but basketball's better. So it's basically already basketball season now that it's October in Lexington. I'm going to go to the Swamp. I have no clue who is going to win Texas versus Florida. I think this is going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly football game that was supposed to, coming into the season, be one of the games of the year in the SEC. I mean, last season, DJ Lagway not healthy for that Texas game. You're thinking, oh, finally, right? Like, DJ Lagway is back. He's going to get healthier by the time those two teams play. Florida could be a playoff contender. Texas is the favorite to win the SEC. These two offenses, I saw this from Josh Pate yesterday on Twitter. These are the 103rd and 123rd third down offenses in the country. Brutal. how bad these offenses have been. Texas has really only been tested by Ohio State, obviously, in week 1. Arch Manning really struggled. He has struggled against UTEP. At one point, I think it was, 10 straight incomplete passes that he had against UTEP. These are not the Texas Western guys that were in the movie back in the day that are elite. This is UTEP in 2025. Florida can't run the ball, which is weird because Jaden Ball, the running back, averages 5.9 yards per carry. It doesn't make sense to me why that hasn't translated to more rushing success. 123 rushing yards per game for Florida, ranks 107th in the country. The Texas defense, no one has gone beyond 85 rushing yards against the Texas defense this year. This game is squarely in DJ Lagway's hands, and I think it's low scoring. I'm not going to touch the spread. I like the under in this game, and it looks like an NFL under, and I'm still going to take it. Texas and Florida under 41.5. I think Arch is not going to totally click in the swamp. That's a difficult place to play. That's a lot of pressure. I don't think that team's totally given up on Billy Napier, but I don't think their offensive line is going to be able to protect DJ Lagway to give him time to throw the ball downfield the way they're going to have to win it. So I just am most confident that the defenses dominate. I like Texas and Florida under 41.5. So
big defensive battle.
Yeah, I think a game of Big Ten football is going to break out in the swamp this weekend. 2:30 kickoff at that one. Great 2:30 slate. You got that one on one screen. You can put Vandy, Alabama on another screen. It's a good day of football. Justin, what is your second pick, sir?
We're going to go to Texas A&M. So I'm actually going to take plus 14.5 Mississippi State. That is a massive margin for a team that just went to overtime with a top 15 team. Mississippi State can put up offense. Now, of course, like we talked about earlier in the week, Joey Aguilar and the interceptions gave short field percent or whatever.
Position? One of their four scoring drives was longer than 26 yards in that game.
Texas
Turnovers
A&M
were a big part of it.
They've got a really good offense. They got a really good defense. I think Texas A&M and Tennessee actually have a very good matchup if they were to play each other, which is why I think Mississippi, the 14.5 points is a wide margin.
It's a lot of points.
Blake Shapen is a solid quarterback, and Fluff Bothwell is a great running back. I think they're going to easily cover this 14. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they are going to go in there and handle some business.
Sure. I will go ahead and reveal that is also my second pick. I like Mississippi State to cover that spread. Mississippi State is has a perfect record against the spread this season. They have covered every game in 2025. I think they can run on A&M. If you're looking for a weakness on that defense, A&M's defensive front is really strong, and they were living in the backfield with Jackson Arnold on Saturday against Auburn. But 45th in yards per rush allowed. I think there's room there for Fluff Bothwell and those two backs in the run game. Texas A&M at home, from a Vegas perspective, has not been good. They are 1-8 against the spread, A&M, in their last 9 games. And they have failed to cover each of their last 5 home games, Texas A&M. I think it's one of those games where 14 is too many points. A&M wins, but I think they kind of set this up the way they did the Auburn game in that they're just trying to get over the hump and win the game. Obviously, no coach cares about covering spreads other than Lane Kiffin. And I think he is more concerned, Mike Elko, with how do we muddy this game up a little bit, play it at our tempo, and just grind out a win and move on to next week. So I agree. I think that's too many points, and I think 14.5 to the Bulldogs is a good bet.
Could end up in a shootout.
Potentially. Yeah, I mean, I like the A&M defensive front. I think they get after Shapen a little bit, and that state line is better than it was last year, but it's, especially on the ends, is not where it needs to be yet for them to go win a game like this. But we'll see. I think State's a really good team. Really, really good team. I think they're a top 25 caliber opponent for Texas A&M this weekend. All right, well, Rhett, what is Ramon's second pick?
He's got SMU and Syracuse taking the under, which is 58.5.
Ooh, that's a lot of points. Yeah, fair. All right.
Considering how their seasons have started, I wouldn't disagree with that.
All right. So Syracuse going to Dallas to face opponents.
That's Dallas.
That was a very poor attempt. That's Dallas. Of course, Steve Angeli out for the season for Syracuse, who were atrocious last weekend. It's incredible how good Syracuse looked in Clemson. And then last weekend, they go back home and they put up 3 points. And they lose 38-3 at home to Darian Mensah and Duke.
Hence the reason why he's saying take the under, which is 58.5.
I think that's a really good pick, actually. I should have thought of that one. Okay. Justin, your third pick, please.
NFL slate, we're going to London as it's Minnesota Vikings versus the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are getting 3.5 points, and I'm going to take those points because Minnesota's just not a great offense. Also, their starting center, Ryan Kelly, their starting left guard, Donovan Jackson, missed practice yesterday with injuries, so that front for Minnesota with some injuries. I don't think that they can handle the front seven for Cleveland, who's got probably the best defense or one of the best defenses in the NFL going right now. They did not have a sack, actually, last week when they lost treacherously to the Detroit Lions. You can't do that twice in a row. Myles Garrett's going to get after that. They lead the NFL in opponent yards per play at 4.1 yards per play allowed.
Pretty dang good.
So I think plus 3.5 in London on a neutral site like that. Cleveland's had experience in London. And plus you got the rookie effect, Dylan Gabriel. I learned my lesson last week going against Jackson Dart, and then he put me down there. I'm going to take the rookie jump in Dylan Gabriel, and I think they're going to get the win, or at least cover the 3.5 in London.
I think it's fair. 4.5 actually is the new number on DraftKings, so I'll give you another point.
Ooh.
Even better.
Literally 2 hours ago, it was 3.5.
Not bad.
Wow.
Not bad. Cleveland plus 4.5. The total in this game is 36.5. That's like an Iowa game.
Well, when you consider the injury woes as he outlined, I tell you what, though, the running back Mason, who has been playing.
Jordan Mason?
Yeah, Jordan Mason, who's been playing for Arizona. He's a nice back.
Yeah. Gallatin, Tennessee's finest.
That's right.
Green Wave. I overthought my pick last week because I was going to pick the Steelers. I know you did. I was going to take the Steelers as a dog in London. Then I realized it wasn't in Pittsburgh. It was in London. And I panicked and switched to Penn State. And I should have stuck with betting against the Vikings, which is, again, another hilarious way that I went 0-6 in the last 2 weeks. But, yes, no, I think that's a good pick. I like it. It's an ugly game. Ugly game. Carson Wentz, Dylan Gabriel in London. London's going to be like, this is the best y'all got to send over here to us? You're sending us your worst?
Well, and that's the thing about the European fans is they're smart now. They've learned the game, and it's like they're not just cheering for extra points and field goals.
Sure.
I mean, they get to a point, but they still sell out every game.
They do.
In just moments before after they go on sale.
They absolutely do.
And another note, the Vikings were in, Germany last week?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so traveling still transcontinental.
Ireland.
Oh,
Vikings Steelers was in Dublin.
Dublin, that's right.
They're in Ireland.
That's where, who was it? Was it Skylar Thompson who got robbed
Yes.
in Dublin?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, the night before. That's a little effect in there. So
Sure.
he also threw 2 picks last week.
He did. Rhett, what is Ramon's final pick this morning?
He has State College leaving Happy Valley and going west to take on the UCLA Bruins, and he says Penn State minus 24.5, and I don't disagree with that one.
I thought about that as well. Yeah, there is a very real chance, and when I say very real, it is the most likely thing to happen that UCLA finishes winless this year. They're not going to be favored in any of their games the rest of the season, and they lost to Northwestern over the weekend. I mean, we could be living in a world where Nico Imaliava, who national reporters listening to agents told us left Tennessee for a better supporting cast at UCLA, has a supporting cast that goes 0-12.
I told you, for Vols fans who are rooting for this, he could literally end up being Nico, gee, I'm sorry for your mama.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's bad. But State College, and listen, with the way they battled back in that big game Saturday night against Oregon, still came up on the short end of the stick with it. But yeah, I would go minus 24.5 with that.
I like it. UCLA parting ways with former Indiana OC Tino Sunseri. And yes, that is the Sunseri family of Sal Sunseri, the awful Tennessee defensive coordinator back in the day as well. Jerry Neuheisel elevated to OC at UCLA. And yes, that is that Neuheisel.
I figured with the last name, there's,
Yep.
So Rick's son.
That's right. My final pick, I'm going to go to the NFL. You all know, if you listen to the show in the preseason and in week 1, I was very high on the Denver Broncos as a dark horse AFC West champion candidate. It was one of my bold predictions of the year. The Chiefs' reign of terror in the AFC West was going to come to an end. I still feel good about that, but for the wrong team. I think the Chargers are the best team of the AFC West. And I'm a little disappointed in how bad the Broncos have been, especially offensively. I know they bounced back against Cincinnati, but that's essentially like playing UCLA's defense, the Bengals. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles at home, 3.5 over the Denver Broncos. I think that number is way too low. In fact, I would have taken it at 4.5, and now it's moved down to 3.5. If there is an offensive line that can neutralize that pass rush and that front seven that makes Denver what they are, it's Philadelphia. And I like the matchup of that offensive line against the Denver defense. This season, Denver is 0-5, actually not just this season. In its last 5 road games, dating back to last year, Denver has failed to cover its last 5 road games against the spread. They are 1-4 in their last 5 against the spread, and Philadelphia is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. So I like the Eagles, minus 4.5.
Did you say it moved down to 3.5?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would have taken the Broncos at 4.5, but
3.5. Going for it.
Are we locking in this time?
Yes. I'm not overthinking.
Okay.
I'm sticking with my gut. It's never gotten me in trouble at all. He says
Are
very
you
sarcastically.
hawk locking this time?
That's right. Here comes the dungeon closing again, or whatever it is.
Hawks lock.
There you go. There you go. 615-737-1045. Final call for phone calls as we wrap up the show next. Ramona Will on 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up your Thursday morning. Appreciate Rhett Bryan on another busy week stopping by, and you'll be back with us tomorrow morning.
I will.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow morning, we'll talk with Brent Hubbs and Ron Slay, as we do every Friday morning, preview the football weekend. So in the football weekend, Rhett, well, you have got some interesting ones. We're going to dive more into these tomorrow to start off the show in the opening hour. But the one I'm really interested in is the desperation between Houston and Baltimore, a couple of 1-3 teams that did not think they were going to be 1-3. You talk about how the 49ers are the walking wounded on offense. The Baltimore Ravens are the walking wounded on defense. And is that the right defense then, with a lot of backups, to allow Houston to get right a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to find out. And I guess the biggest question was, does Lamar Jackson play at quarterback? And doesn't look like that's going to be a thing. Yeah, with the injuries that Baltimore has, even with that being in Baltimore, I just wonder if Houston... Golly, man, Houston, that offensive line.
It's a problem.
It's their biggest. It is the Achilles heel.
No doubt.
It really is. But I like Houston's chances just because of the other things with Baltimore.
Sure.
Because I think if Houston can make something happen, they can. That Baltimore crowd can get rowdy. If you can take them out of that early.
Make them squirm a little bit.
Yeah, make them squirm a little bit. But, yeah, that is a battle of 1-3 teams that did not think they were going to be 1-3.
100%.
I agree with that.
Vikings and Browns at 8:30, the London game, like we just mentioned. Elsewhere in the NFL, the AFC South, starting there, Raiders at Colts. Colts getting 6.5 points in that one, and a good chance for them to bounce back after, A.D. Mitchell's two big mistakes cost them in L.A.
Here's the one dent in the armor potentially for the Raiders in this, because Ashton Genty is starting to get into it now. He got 138, a couple of receiving touchdowns, a rushing touchdown in this. But their left tackle, Colton Miller, high ankle sprain and hairline fracture. Don't think we'll see him next week. And, the starting left tackle. Now, some of the other parts, they've got good players.
Right.
But I just wonder if that affects Ashton Genty's ground game in this, just trying to but with Indianapolis, oh man, A.D. Mitchell. Yeah, I feel bad for him.
The holding call on a 53-yard game-leading touchdown run, and then obviously dropping the ball on the 1-yard line before scoring another big touchdown in that game.
Yep.
Panthers-Dolphins, I'm curious why the Panthers are underdogs at home. Plus 1.5 against Miami coming to town. You got the Jets hosting the Cowboys. I think Aaron Glenn is going to be a good coach. I think he's got a mess to deal with in New York. That offense has no weapons not named Garrett Wilson for Justin Fields to throw to.
Yeah.
But Justin Fields has been solid early. They've been in a lot of games. Of course, they were in that one late in Miami on Monday Night Football. They were in week one, almost beat Pittsburgh.
And Braylon Allen's on IR now.
Right. So big thing for them to overcome in that one.
That Broncos-Eagles game should be very interesting. You mentioned, or you haven't mentioned, Tampa and Seattle. That's one that's intriguing to me.
That's one of the best games of the weekend.
Commanders and Chargers. Chargers, again, left tackle Joe Alt, high ankle sprain, I believe, with him. I don't know. I don't feel like he probably won't play.
He's out for a little bit.
AFC East battle on Sunday Night Football. Patriots at Highmark Stadium to take on Buffalo. Buffalo's rolling. It'd be the most variable thing ever if they went in there and won that, but Buffalo is rolling, man.
Right.
You never know about divisional matchups.
It's different, isn't it? Jayhawks locks.
You're already getting it.
Kansas City at Jacksonville. Go Chiefs. That's all I have to say about that.
3.5 given to Jacksonville, plus 3.5 at home. Feels like the Chiefs got right a little bit last week against Baltimore.
Jacksonville's starting to gin it in the right direction, too.
They are.
And they're healthy.
Yeah, they are. Jacksonville is starting to move in the right direction, which unfortunately is a problem for the Titans in the AFC South.
Right. Another shout out on the way out here to Nashville Soccer Club winning the U.S. Open Cup last night, 2-1 over Austin FC. The boys in gold winning their first trophy, as we call it in soccer, their first silverware. I know Buck and Lucas will talk a lot more about that coming up in just a few minutes. Very excited for the boys in gold. If you knew that was going on, if you're celebrating it, if you want to know more, they play Saturday at 1:30 against CF Montreal. Then they'll host a guy named Lionel Messi and enter Miami for the last game of the regular season on the third Saturday in October, known as Decision Day in Major League Soccer, on the last day of the MLS season. So that's coming up in about 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And the playoffs have not even begun yet. So lots more soccer to buy into. If you're excited about NSC winning a title last night and want to watch more, you're in luck.
Yeah, congrats to the boys at the Castle.
And shame on CBS Sports Network for not showing the hoist of the trophy.
I know. They were like, all right, go over to Paramount Plus to watch the trophy lift. We're out of here. Like, what? Come on. Yeah, that was annoying.
Shame on them.
It was very annoying. Back at it tomorrow morning on your Friday. Brent Hubbs and Ron Slay. We'll talk about the Titans' pathway to upsetting the Cardinals, preview the football weekend, and much, much more. The Buck Rising Show is next on 104.5 The Zone.